once, twice, and maybe 3 times, going down the hill, heading for the carousel. Michel trying all that he can to hold on for a second, and finally will clear, and Reedy will drop once more to P3 on the racetrack. And you're right, Francisco, just hopping on the brakes a little too late, grabbing that little piece of grass that has caught so many drivers this evening from Road America, and probably knowingly of that mistake, Lawson Peel comes in for his final stop inside 3 laps to go with a 39.5-second lead over Michel in second. And so Austin Reedy, it's insult to injury, and this race has completely turned sour as he goes wide at the carousel, gets the grass. Michel does the same, but is able to pick it up. Reedy not so fortunate and slams into the barriers, into the kink. But exiting turn 3 on the Sargento Cheese Bridge straightaway is Lawson Peel in the 12 car. Started 24th at Watkins Glen, ended up with a race win on strategy and by raw pace. This time by starts inside, but he goes sideways, and he will go around at the entrance of turn 5. Remember, there's still roughly 10 or so seconds before Daniel Michel can get to the crime scene, but the 12 is around at the bottom of the hill, and here comes Michel.
He might have just gotten lucky there, Lawson Peel, because there he is right there. Michel's trying to be aggressive. About a second or so short, Kenneth. That could have... For the 12 of Peel, we talked about mistakes.
Peel's off again.
Michel's going to take the lead.
Peel is sideways. He may fall back to third, and Michel out of the race lead for the first time.
On the last lap.
Can you believe it? We've talked about mistakes all night long, and Peel gets caught by not one but 2 crucial ones, heading for turn 5 and turn 7. Daniel Michel into the carousel for the final time.
Daniel Michel comes off of the final corner, and in an unbelievable turn of events at Road America is going to capture his first 4-wide racing win.
Daniel Michel to the checkered flag for the first time in his 4-wide Racing Cup Series career. Checkered flag for the California native. 2 laps to go from Talladega Superspeedway. A decent jump by your leader, Lance Hill. Jumps up top to block the run by the 71. He'll come back down low to block the 28's advantage into the first 2 corners, but we might be even door to door for the lead. We are on the back straightaway. Curtis Kelly to the front.
The outside has a lot of momentum. Looks like the 13, the 16, they're all starting.
Around AJ Green on the apron.
Inside.
He spins below the racing line. We're still green. Tyler Murray in a third.
Tyler Murray was a lap down 20 laps ago, Kenneth. He has a chance to end his winless streak. What is he willing to do? He's pushing the 13. Loudenslager is going to sit behind the leader right now as we're coming to the white flag. No wrecks going on at the moment. There it goes. Gillis goes around. Inside, no yellow so far, no yellow so far. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go.
This race is official from Talladega. Curtis Kelly, the race leader. Craig Loudenslager looking for an entrance in the championship 5. But here comes Tyler Murray. He's got no help. Forrester to make it 3 cars up top.
The 13's going to have to make a move here soon. There goes Lawson Peel. He's trying to make a move further back. The 13 has a run. Forster goes to the bottom, but doesn't let the 13 go to the inside. There you see the move by Murray. Murray to the top.
Final time in a 3 and 4. No help for the 99. He gets hooked by Murray. Hard into the outside wall. Final step out of turn 4. Cars in the air near the fence. Craig Loudenslager has help from Kyle Benson to the trial for the final time. Craig Loudenslager is heading back to Homestead. Championship 5 eligible. Winner from Dega. A decent push by Porter. He'll get right to the back bumper of the 99, trying to clear him as best as possible. Bit of a swerve at the exit of turn 2 with the 3 and the 71. Bit of a cleaner restart, more organization in these 2 lanes. And that 3 all over the track, but he tries to get into turn 3 with a heap of momentum, but can't do it. As Colin Forrester gets out of turn 4, we will see the white flag, and this race is official. Your top 3 clear by a couple of car lengths. Kevin D'Elia sliding his way into 4th. Couple of DBR guys around the back half of the top 10, and Eric Schaefer still trying his hardest to get to the front. He's going to back out. He'll go to the bottom. Big crash in turn 1. Christopher Bishop among those involved. Looks like Michael Newbraw also stacked up. Final time on the back straightaway. Here comes Porter, green, to give support on the inside. Jaden Porter left for dust. Tony Kibbett trying to go all the way by himself. DBR with a 3-car train. Make that 2, but out of the final trip, out of the final corner for the final time. Here comes Green to the outside of Forrester. Photo finish to the line, 3 wide. 5 1,000ths of a second. Give it to Colin Forrester. But if Benson crosses the line, he will not before the caution waves. We will have ourselves a green-white checkered restart. It's Austin Reedy on the outside wall. Oh my goodness. It started right here where Sanchez hit the wall at a turn 2. And Reedy just dove the car in there and went up to the outside wall, got hooked, and that's where he went sideways. Your leader right here at the moment of caution saw that car face the opposite direction, and now knowing that he's going to have the fight of his life. As Jaden Porter, AJ Green and company come down pit road. He'll go right at the Xfinity sign, and we're back under green with 2 laps to go. Turn 2 has been a trouble spot. We'll watch and see whether anyone else finds trouble. For Benson, he holds on to it. AJ Green, no fight for second. Now they're going at it for third. Contact between Benson, or either Banks and Alshire. They make contact and they'll save it. And now they'll go around. Jaden Porter to the inside wall. Here comes Green with a challenge for the lead at 3 and 4. Now the caution waves. Race will be over. AJ Green wins at the Lady in Black. And he moves the 10 out of the way, puts him in the wall. AJ Green moves on by. Right here's where the caution waves and those lights come on. And that is it. AJ Green, the winner here at Darlington. But out of turn 4, Kyle Benson grabs the white flag from Avondale, Arizona. And we talk about the story for driver number 10. Had his ACL torn in the middle of the season, trying his very best to get back into the playoff fight. Missed the playoffs by a couple of points. Kinsey's in the wall! Right into Benson, who's going to go sideways. Brandon Banks gets by, and in the final 2 corners, Brandon Banks is going to his 3rd straight Championship 5 winner from Phoenix. My goodness.
Wow.
Sunny South Florida, overhead Homestead-Miami Speedway is where tonight a champion will be decided. Welcome to the pre-race show for the 4-Wide Racing Cup Series Championship 5 finale, live from the Homestead-Miami Speedway, as we bring you coverage right here on MaxSpeedTV. Usually we don't have a pre-race show, but we decided for a championship event, it is certainly fitting, and we also have our fits as well. Myself, Kenneth Bueno, alongside Francisco Bacallao. Francisco, what a night it is going to be. We have been trying to mentally prepare for this moment. We decided the Championship 5 just a week ago in an absolute stunner of a finish at Phoenix Raceway. Came down to the last lap where Kyle Benson and Brandon Banks were going at it for the win in a crazy sequence of events. But now we have those drivers decided, and now it's all down for this race at Homestead to decide who's going to host the Season 5 trophy in the 4-Wide Racing Cup Series.
I'm happy to be here, Kenneth. It's been a fantastic season all around between all the drivers and everything they've done to get to this point. The 5 drivers that we have battling for a championship today have all deserved to be here. They've worked really hard to get to this point, and we're going to get to talk to them during this pre-race to get their thoughts on their mindset on how to approach this race here tonight. But this racetrack, Kenneth, it's nothing new to us. We of course live very close to the racetrack. We've covered many races here in the past. We know exactly what this racetrack is about. It's a wide racetrack, variable banking. There's a lot of grip along that outside wall if you're willing to get close enough with the wall proximity that iRacing added a couple years ago. It does kind of hurt the tires there, and you can kind of use up your stuff. But if you play your cards right, you use it when you have to, you can really make some good enough ground.
And this is the first time in 4 Wide Cup history that Homestead-Miami is the championship finale. So there's a lot of things to consider when going into that as well. Let's talk about the championship fight, Francisco, and who is in the fight for this year's title. And all of them, Francisco, have very different stories. Defending series champion Lawson Peel has been good, but has faced so much bad luck. He's still in this championship fight regardless. Kyle Benson, who had a ACL torn in the middle of the season, came all the way back. Now he's fighting for a title. Craig Loudenslager winning at Talladega to lock himself into this round. Brandon Banks with an absolutely insane way to get in on fuel strategy and absolute luck at Phoenix last week. And Jaden Porter, the driver in his first full-time season, trying to go for his first ever 4 Wide Cup title. A lot of different stories, but that's what makes this fight very interesting and probably one of the most interesting in series history.
I would agree with that. It's definitely interesting and one of the more dramatic ways to get to this point. You mentioned that they're very briefly touching upon each driver. They've all had such a different way of getting here. You couldn't possibly make a bet on it to start the season, and yet here we are. We're going to get to hear from them shortly. And probably capping off the whole season to get to here was last week at Phoenix with Brandon Banks. You saw. I think we showed it there on the previous clip here at the start of the video. Brandon Banks made a last lap pass on Kyle Benson to win Phoenix, but not in the most typical fashion. Kyle Benson, of course, involved in an incident with lap cars just in front of him that crashed. That fell on his lap there on the back straightaway. Brandon Banks, who was on fumes, I don't know how he made it still to this day. He goes by Benson, holds out Loudenslager, and wins the race in a must-win situation, Kenneth, mind you. In a must-win situation, he was able to prevail, and he is now a part of this championship fight for the 3rd straight time, and he's looking to try and get that first championship trophy. Lawson Peel looking to try and go back-to-back. He was able to win at Texas last season to get the first championship. Has 7 wins again this season. It's been a little bit more of a struggle come playoff time, but you can't eliminate the driver of the 12, and I can't wait to hear what all these guys have to say.
And we'll talk to those championship 5 drivers. You were watching the top 5 finishes. That was courtesy of league owner Tyler Murray. Put up a fantastic video to give us the best moments of the season. And number 1, no surprise, was that race last week at Phoenix where we decided the last couple of drivers that were going to get in. Speaking of those that are in this championship 5, well, let's go down and try and talk to them. We'll start first with the man who won his way into the Phoenix Raceway race and ended up here at Homestead-Miami. That is the number 54 of Brandon Banks. We'll bring him in first. And Brandon, first of all, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on making it to the championship 5. But first and foremost, give us your thoughts on tonight's race and what you're going to try to do to get your first ever 4 Wide Cup title.
I don't know, man. I'm going to see if we can beat Lawson. He's out here practicing with him now, and he's just he's on a different level at this track. So I don't know. We're just going to try to keep it clean and just kind of be there at the end. I think that's going to be my only shot. I think I got an okay car. It's just I think Lawson's just really good here. So I think we're all going to be chasing him most of the night and kind of hope he makes maybe a bobble here or there, and we can jump on him. But yeah, we're going to give we can do what we can do and see where we end up.
And talk about the race last week at Phoenix Raceway, an absolutely amazing way to win it where you were on fuel strategy, on fumes. Kyle Benson wrecks in front of you on the last back straightaway turn of the last lap, and all of a sudden you end up winning your way in. Is it somewhat of a surprise that you're in this championship 5 in comparison to, let's say, the last 2 seasons where now you're entering your 3rd straight championship appearance?
Yeah, that was a wild finish. I had to do something a little bit different last week and then try to get to win the race. And I thought I had the right strategy, and I saw Kyle coming back, and he got to me. But I really had no choice but to kind of give it up to him. He had pretty much the car to beat the last week. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Angels were blessing me there with Lance making that mistake off of 2, and they said it was just all kind of chaos there coming down the backstretch. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't even realize that Kyle had wrecked, and I So it was all a surprise. But yeah, I mean, we've had a pretty good year. I mean, it's just a couple mistakes here and there, and we could have been probably up a little higher, but wish we could have won a little bit more. It's tough. Like I said, these guys in here are really good. So the quality of the guys in here are good, and like I said, if you can ever get a win in here, over Lawson and Kyle and all those guys, Craig's even picked up, and it's a win. It's very tough to win in here.
Well, now you look forward to Homestead-Miami Speedway final race. I know this is the first time that we see this track as a championship race in series history. So what challenges are you expected to face when you take that Chevrolet Camaro for the green flag tonight?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems like it's a little tight in and loose off. So I think the biggest thing is just trying not to get caught up in anything. Someone trying to gas it up off the corner and then just kind of taking you out of the race. So, we're going to be aggressive and try to get some track position, but at the same time we just want to be there at the end to give ourselves a shot. So usually if I can, we can catch some long green flag runs, I'm usually better. So hopefully we do that tonight. We don't go caution after caution, and if we can do that, I think we got a good shot.
Well, third time maybe could be the charm here, Brandon. We certainly appreciate the time. As always, we'll wish you the best of luck in qualifying. And when we get the green flag, congratulations on making it to the Championship 5 once again. And once more, best of luck here from Homestead.
All right, thanks, Kenneth.
So that is Brandon Banks, driver of the number 54 Chevrolet Camaro in his third straight Championship 5 race, but looking for his first title ever. We'll talk to the other Drinkin' Bros Racing driver that's in, but a very different situation, Francisco Bacalhau. Lawson Peel looking for his second straight 4-Wide Cup title.
Lawson, you are the defending champion of the series. You have 7 wins once again this season. What's it going to take to get a championship number 2 here tonight?
I don't know. I would love to have the answer, but I think it's just going to be a race that just kind of sets up well. Obviously, you can't be off strategy or something where you're going to lose it that way. You want to be, you kind of have optimal tires, optimal fuel when it comes down to the end or whatever. You just want to be in good position. So just looking to do that, and if I can do that and get to the to the ending stages of the race with a clean car and everything, I think I'll have a good shot.
Obviously, currently in this booth, we have 2 of the Homestead winners in this series. What does it take to be successful around this racetrack and know how to save the tires and run the right line?
Yeah, so the setup or the package we have tonight is a little bit different than we had last year. Last year it was I would say a little looser, a little less grip. It's a little bit more. We have a little bit more grip, but depending on how you drive it, you can still wear the right rear off of it. Which is my bad tendency. But if you're somebody like my teammate Brandon Banks, he's good at saving the right rear, and he's could actually wear the right front out a little bit more, depending on how he's driving it. So I would personally like to be able to do that. That's what benefits me better is, kind of a long run that wears a little bit more to the right front. So I don't know if we're going to have that tonight. We're racing into the dark, which the track's going to change with the temperatures going down, which is going to change the tire wear and change the handling. So just going to have to keep up with it, see where it goes, and hopefully just be in a good spot at the end.
And Lawson, of course, before we let you go, it has to be mentioned, of course, the bad luck throughout the playoffs. You were able to get that win at Pocono, and through circumstances not of your own doing, you've had some bad finishes throughout these playoffs. Is that at all playing into your mind and your preparations for this week, knowing the history that you've had in these playoffs?
Not really. I mean, I have had a couple of incidents, couple things you could call bad luck, but it hasn't been just too bad. Obviously, last week at Phoenix, that was pretty much all me just not being very good at that track. That was just really, really tough. Just no grip last week, and it just didn't set up well for me, and I wasn't very good. But Homestead's a very, very good track for me. This is probably my favorite track, I would say, on the sim and in real life. I know it's Kenneth's home track, so I'm just really big fan of it. You can really spread out and run, four different lines or so here. You can run bottom, top, or pick, kind of multiple lanes in the middle. So, and they're all viable. They're all competitive. You see side by side racing here, and dive bombs and runs off the corner. It's just, I've always really liked it. Thought it was really entertaining, and really, really enjoy getting to drive it on the sim, and really happy that this is our championship venue.
We appreciate the time you take with us, Lawson. And of course, you're going for a second championship. We wish you luck in becoming the first repeat champion in the series. Enjoy the race.
Thank you guys very much. Enjoy the show, and hopefully we'll be talking to you guys afterwards.
So that is Lawson Peel, driver of the 12. He's the defending winner here at Homestead-Miami, and last season he won the championship race at Texas, so looking to do it all over again, and like I said earlier, to become the first driver ever in series history to be a 2-time in a row championship winner. Let's go to the driver of the 10 next up, and that is Kyle Benson, who has had an absolutely insane journey to make it to this very point. We're joined by Kyle Benson right now as he tries to chase for his first 4-Wide Cup championship in his third Championship 5 appearance. And Kyle, this is your first Championship 5 appearance since all the way back in Season 3 at Atlanta Motor Speedway, but you've had one of the most consistent playoffs we've seen by any driver this far. Does that help you in some way lift your confidence and make you feel a little bit good about tonight's race at Homestead-Miami?
Oh yeah, coming in, we've had one whale of playoffs this year. With everything going on, and was able to just put in finishes and just pretty much point my way in. Just kind of stayed where I was running all most of the night, and just happy to be here, man. It's been a while, since Season 3 with the old Gen 6 cars, but this is a little different. It's different car, different track, different mentality, different way how to drive it. But you always chase for that one thing. I'm happy, like I said, happy to be here, but I really want to get that championship, man. That thing's been eluding me for years.
And talk us through this season in its entirety. I know we mentioned the ACL tear that you had around the middle of the season where it looked like it was going to take you a while to officially get comfortable back on the racing track in Sim, but you were able to do that. You found your way in the playoffs. You had Joe Sanchez forfeiting his playoff spot. Just talk us through what that journey has been like mentally and overall emotionally, and to make it all the way to this point where you have a shot at a title.
Where do I start, Kenneth? It's been it was hard, man. Having go through that, man. It sucked, not being there, and it's definitely been a whirlwind of a season. I've had great luck, worse luck, and probably one of the worst stretches of races that I've had, to where I got wrecked. I've been wrecked while I was leading on the final lap. I've, lost it on green, white checkers. I've lost it entirely, and it's definitely one of the years where it's kind of like just kind of coming back, just clawing my way back to where I was. And, it's been humbling in a way, just being able to know that I can, come back for something like that, and being able to fight my way back to where I was. And, I got lucky with Joe not being able to make playoffs, but next man up, and I was happy to take the opportunity, and I'm happy I rode the opportunity this far, man.
It's that next man up mentality, and now you've got one race to decide. You're probably a 4-Wide Cup Series career in terms of getting your first ever championship. Talk us through the challenges you'll face here at Homestead-Miami and the things that you've tried to pick up through practice that possibly could help come race time.
Man, it's gonna be loose. Just gonna be saving your tires, just keeping all 4 tires on the ground and keeping them working in a nice, harmony, and just being consistent. This track does not bode well for inconsistency. If you just overstep that one time, you're smacking the wall. But it's more or less to just let the cars play out. Don't try anything stupid. Just run your race. Don't be an idiot on lap 5 and then wreck yourself. Then you're starting at the bottom of the barrel. So track express is gonna be big. I don't know how it's gonna pass tonight. I haven't ran a race in next gens for a while, at least here. So we're gonna find out. We're gonna usually everything that I just talked about usually gets flipped on its head, and we're gonna just be adapting from there on forward. But it's gonna be slick. The sun's gonna go down. We're gonna see if it gets grip in it, and we're gonna see if it get an old liquor and sticker, bud.
Well, it's going to be a big race nonetheless here tonight from Homestead-Miami. Kyle, of course, on behalf of our broadcast team, best of luck in tonight's race. Congratulations on making your third Championship 5 appearance, and we'll see you out on track when we get the green.
Oh, man, I'm blessed for it. Thank you, guys.
So that is Kyle Benson, driver of the 10, who's making his third Championship 5 appearance and tied with Brandon Banks for the most Championship 5 appearances in the group of drivers fighting for the title tonight. But somebody, Francisco, who's on the other end of the spectrum completely is the driver of the 28. That is Jaden Porter in his first full-time 4-Wide Cup season. He's in the Championship 5 for the first time ever.
Jaden, it's your first time in the 4-Wide Cup Series Championship finale. It's the first time you've been racing full-time in this series. Of course, your competitors have all the experience in the world. What do you think you have to do to be able to approach this race to kind of match up to them?
Hold on, I can't hear you right now. Hold on.
Some technical difficulties. We'll try again soon.
How do I cannot hear anyone.
We'll try to see if we can get Jaden Porter on the mic or whether he can hear us. So we'll talk to the driver of the 28. But while he tries to deal with some of the technical difficulties, well, Jaden, you got a copy?
It out now. Yeah.
There we go. All right, Francisco, you got it.
Well, Jaden, it's your first Championship 5 appearance in this series and your first full-time series. You're a multi-time winner, a multiple-time winner this season as well. What do you think it will take to be able to go out there and compete with the big dogs to try and fight for this title tonight?
A lot of saving the right rear. In practice, I can tell that the right rear is going to wear out a lot more than a lot of other places, but I'm probably going to have to pass a lot of cars. My qualifying pace is not where I need it to be, but I feel like my long run pace will be there. Just need some long runs and kind of need to keep patient all night. You know, I don't need to get down on myself at any point of this race. Just need to go out there and try to win it.
It's a good mentality to have, Jaden. And of course, this racetrack, it's no stranger to championship finales in real life, but it's the first time this series sees it here as the finale. What is it about Homestead-Miami Speedway that you like, and what is it about this racetrack that you think will be the biggest learning curve for the drivers here tonight?
The multiple lanes and the tire saving. The tires wear out a lot here, and it, you know, puts it in the driver's hands, which for a championship race, that's what we want. The multi-groove racing, you know, you can move around. You're not going to get stuck in dirty air behind someone, so I feel like all the drivers love Homestead, and, you know, I might struggle here a little bit, but I still love racing here. And
of course, Jaden, we've talked about it all season, how the certain teams have been able to represent the series in the name of Stocks Motorsports, Team Murray Reedy Motorsports, Trackhouse Racing, all these organizations, Drinking Bros Racing as well. You are a part of the BBR organization. What would it mean you to deliver them a championship?
It'd mean a lot, you know, since it's you guys' home track. I'd love to win a championship here for you guys. And you know, being the only driver with basically no teammates in this, to win a championship would mean a lot. So hopefully we can get it done today.
Of course, no biases here from us. We're impartial when we cover these series, Jaden, but we do wish you luck at the end of the day, just as we do with everybody else. And we hope to see some good results from you tonight. We wish you the best of luck and enjoy the race.
All right, thank you, buddy.
So as driver of the 28, Jaden Porter, who's not necessarily a rookie, but in his first full-time season is gunning for his first ever 4-Wide Cup championship. He's got 2 wins this season, one of them at the Dover Motor Speedway, the most recent at Charlotte Motor Speedway. That was the magic one to lock him into this championship race. Another driver who also did win his way into the Championship 5 is the last driver we'll talk to on our Championship 5 grid, and that is the driver of the number 13, Craig Loudenslager. And Craig, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on making it to the Championship 5. Just give us your thoughts. I mean, it's the second straight time you've made it from last season. Talk us through the way in which you feel going into this race and this championship context.
I mean, it's obviously great to be here. We got a lot of great guys in this league, and it's just difficult to qualify in. So many things can go wrong. So for things to go right this year again, I think it's just awesome. I'm looking forward to the race tonight, and it's going to be interesting. I don't think anyone has this track fully figured out, so I think there's a lot of things to find out as the race progresses, and I think whoever can hold on to their car the best is going to come out with that championship trophy.
And you've been one of the drivers, at least that we've noticed, Craig, to be very good at these intermediate tracks, a lot of these multi-grooves, some abrasive surface that can eat up the tires. Does this track favor your type of wheelhouse, or do you think, like you said, it's still a big unknown for you that you're probably going to have to find out as you put in laps in race trim?
I would think that this track would be right up my alley, but I haven't had a whole lot of success here in the past. It's a weird track. It's tight in. It's loose off. If that top groove opens up, I think I can run it as good as anyone, but it hasn't been looking super hot in practice, so just got to keep an open mind and struggling just following what the faster guys are doing. But I think it's just going to be interesting to see how things play out, and hopefully I can kind of roll with the punches. If not, I may have a long night tonight.
Back to the stat that it's your second straight championship 5 here in this 4-wide Racing Cup Series. I got 2 questions for you before we let you get off for qualifying. Number 1, do you think that the championship experience from last season could help maybe calm the nerves or give you a little more of what to do in this championship 5? And number 2, if you do cross that line first out of the 5 drivers, how much would it mean for you to get a championship 5 win for Southern Heat Racing?
I mean, I've learned stuff from last year, but at the end of the day, I mean, there's going to be a lot of team racing at play. Probably going to have to really take some risks if I want to get up there and win the damn thing. But yeah, I think I just go out there and drive this knot out of the car. So yeah, it would mean a hell of a lot to me just because I've been here as long as almost anyone. I mean. I'm running a scheme I ran on the first time I ever put myself in a 4-wide cup race at Richmond back in 2020. So just kind of wanted to pay a little bit of homage to my origins in this league and kind of celebrate the progress we've made in the league so far.
I certainly love the colors on this Toyota Camry here tonight. I know you got the 5 seasons of 4-wide racing, and this is going to be the last time that we race a NASCAR Cup Series next-gen car. So a big step in history for the series, and I'm sure that you've got that scheme to memorize. It's pretty awesome to see. Craig, on behalf of our broadcast team, best of luck on this Championship 5 endeavor for 2023. We'll see you out on the track when we get the green flag.
Thank you very much.
So that is Craig Loudenslager looking to capture a championship for Southern Heat Racing, the only Toyota in this Championship 5 grid. So that's going to be pretty interesting just to take note of. And Francisco, we'll toss it back to ourselves just before we get this race started and we get everything settled for what's to be expected here from Homestead-Miami Speedway. These 5 drivers are all very skilled in very different ways in the sim. What are you expecting as this track provides the challenges and as these guys gun for the title?
Well, they commented, a couple of them did comment on the fact that we will be starting in the daylight and transitioning into the dark. That plays a huge role into how the track changes, how you're supposed to drive the racetrack, and kind of the mental game. You kind of have this mental awareness of having the time of day relative to how the race is progressing. As the night approaches, you get a sense of the end is near, so you try to drive a little bit more aggressively with a little bit more sense of urgency. And we'll see that as the night progresses, guys will start being a little bit more desperate, knowing they have less chances left before they can try and make their move to try and claim the championship. It's going to be an interesting one for sure. They're all going to give it their best shot, and I think at the end of the night, we're going to be seeing something interesting going on. It might come down to 2 or 3 guys, but I think we're going to be in for a good one. Homestead never disappoints in any series with any race cars in any league, and I'm excited to be a part of another one.
There's so much excitement in the air. We're ready to bring you the green flag of tonight's Championship 5 finale here from the virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway. Don't go anywhere as we will take a short break and close out our pre-race coverage. But on the other side, we will have the green flag and all the pre-race festivities of the 4-wide Racing Cup Series finale. Don't go anywhere.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
the best. You got them 4 abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws. Dirt Racing will be available September 27th. Pre-order your copy today.
The final challenge for 5 drivers stands in the form of South Florida, where 25 races brings us to this very moment, where the vets that have survived up until this point have all now had the opportunity to pay off for 4Wide's biggest prize. Aerial view of the virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway, where we bring you coverage of the championship race in Season 5 of the 4Wide Racing Cup Series and our coverage right here on MaxSpeedTV. So happy to have you join us as we bring the final chapter to a close here in the 4Wide Racing Cup Series for 2023, where alongside Francisco Bacquiao in the broadcast booth for one final time, my name is Kenneth Plano. And Francisco, we've got a fight of the ages. 5 championship drivers, many of them looking for their first, one looking for their second, and it is all going to come down to this, a showdown in South Florida to decide who's going to host the 4Wide Trophy in the final season and race of the Next Gen Cars.
That traffic on the turnpike is worth it to get it all the way down here to Homestead-Miami Speedway, Kenneth. We're going to be in for a good one here tonight, a great one for that matter. Homestead, it delivers with championship races. It always has, and even with regular season races or other playoff races. Homestead is just such a unique racetrack with the variable banking, like we mentioned, and with the sensitive tire surface that it has, with the tires wearing. It really is a driver's racetrack. All the drivers mentioned they love racing here. They enjoy driving here. Even if they're not great at the racetrack, they enjoy driving here. So when you get a racetrack that the drivers enjoy driving their race cars at, and it has this sort of movability and ability to do what it does to perform some good racing, we're in for a good show. And Homestead, like I said, never disappoints, and I'm excited to be here and see what produces out of this Championship 5 race.
And this track did not disappoint the last time we were here. Now, given it was a regular season race and the first time that we see Homestead as a championship finale, but even in regular season context, it brought us a lot of great storylines and a lot of good fun to watch out on the racetrack. So tonight probably should no different. If not, it could be a little bit better in terms of the racing we might see when it comes down to that fight for the title. Let's talk about the 5 drivers that are in the Championship 5, and you mentioned it on the pre-race show, the different drivers that are pretty much going for this title. We look at Lawson Peel, who won 7 races last season, has won 7 races this season, is going for his second straight 4Wide Cup Series title. Kyle Benson, who's had an up and down year, roller coaster of emotions at Daytona at our regular season finale, but he makes it all the way to the Championship 5 with one of the best playoff runs we've seen as of late. Jaden Porter in his first full-time season, is going for his first title, won his way in via Charlotte. And then there's Craig Loudenslager, driver of the 13 for Southern Heat Racing, the only Toyota representative in this field, but that will not faze him. He's going to be looking for his second straight Championship 5 appearance and his first ever championship in this series. And then goes Brandon Banks with an absolutely insane win at Phoenix Raceway just 1 week ago. Got him into this championship race. That's the third time we see him in this final round, but he's going to be looking for the charm this time through for his first ever title. Francisco, we talk about Homestead-Miami Speedway and all of its intricacies. We're hometown natives. We love this track. Many drivers love it as well, and these guys in the sim at 4 wide have something to deal with in this track at Homestead.
Yes, it's a 1.5 mile racetrack, of course, different from most 1.5 miles. It's instead of the tri-oval or quad-oval like we mostly see with Texas or Kansas, like this is a true oval, not quite egg-shaped, a kind of symmetrical oval, except each turn is different. 1 and 2, it feels a little bit tighter. 3 and 4, it kind of opens up a little bit and then kind of has a weird bump in the middle of the corner. You really have to rotate the car in there. Variable banking. As you move up the racetrack, there's more banking to be found as you get closer to the wall. Guys will dare to get up there at some point in this race. You heard guys complaining it was a little bit loose, so that might shy some guys from going all the way up there. But it is a tool to be used, especially on long runs when the car is slipping and sliding and you need to make some time up. It is possible to move all the way up there. You might see it more so in 1 and 2 because you can carry that momentum better than in 3 and 4. But I think we're going to see guys moving all over the racetrack, trying to see what works best for them and their race. And Kenneth, we've only seen 2 races in this series being ran here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. We saw it in Season 4 and in Season 3 as well, each with a different car. And each race was different. The first one, a lot of green flag action, only 1 caution flag back in Season 3 compared to last season where I believe we had double-digit caution flags. So it really does kind of still raise some question marks as to what we can expect here tonight, whether it'll be more like the first race or more like the second race. It's a question worth having.
It's an interesting note that you bring up, and also to couple with the fact that you just brought up, every time we race Homestead-Miami Speedway, it's only 1 race in the season. You don't have it multiple times, so you see it once and then it's gone. It's the same thing for tonight, although this one, it shows up in the Championship 5, so it's going to add a little more chaos to what we should expect here tonight. Let's talk about the future, though, before we get into the present, about the Championship 5 and everybody running for the title this evening and all the festivities that we will have. Let's get into the topic, Francisco, of next season, because there are a lot of changes that Tyler Murray and all the admin team is bringing to this series. Number 1, we are ditching the NASCAR Cup Series next-gen cars. We are going to the Xfinity Series machines next season, and you look at the 4-wide racing schedule, now sponsored by TJ's team, so bringing in TJ's team for the action, and we've got a pretty good schedule that starts in September. Boy, I know we're excited for tonight's championship race in Season 5, but we're going to be so much more ready for Season 6.
And of course, the one thing that stands out is Auto Club does return to the start of the season, much like we had a couple of seasons back. Auto Club, of course, won't be in real life anymore, but we can still use it on the sim, and it is one of the better racetracks we do visit in the real world and the sim. And as you look through the schedule, you see all of your favorite racetracks. You see the Thanksgiving breaks, the end of the year breaks in the winter, the All-Star race. We have an All-Star race next season, Kenneth, over at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. That's going to be interesting with those particular race cars. You also see the Indy Double at the Indianapolis Raceway Park and the Indianapolis Oval. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic there with staying in the same city. And of course, everybody is focused on those playoff races, and you see Daytona there. Sonoma is making its, I believe, its second ever race after being only in the Season 1 schedule. Pocono still being a crucial race. Phoenix once again being the cutoff. And here we're going to be on May 1st in 2024. We'll be right back here in Homestead, Florida, ready to bring you a Season 6 championship finale. But Kenneth, before we ever talk about a Season 6 championship finale, we have to get down to the meat and gritty of the Season 5 championship finale, and that starts with our starting grid.
Yes, sir, we do. We'll take you trackside and bring you tonight's starting grid for the Homestead-Miami Speedway Championship 5 finale for Season 5 of the 4-wide racing Cup Series. On pole is the defending champion and defending winner here at Homestead, Lawson Peel, with a 33.076. He will look to grab his second straight title. Colin Forrester on his outside for Stonks Motorsports, looking to get a win to cap off the year in the right way. They'll be the first to see the green flag Kyle Benson, next Championship 5 driver in action. He rolls off from third. AJ Green in the number 48, his Dr. Pepper car. He'll look to take it to victory lane as he starts in the 4th place position. Eric Schaefer for Drinkin' Bros Racing starts tonight inside the top 5. He's got Adam Alishire for Trackhouse Racing in the 91 on his outside for P6. 7th place goes to Jaden Porter in his first full-time 4-wide Cup season, looking for a championship. He's joined by his Championship 5 rival, Brandon Banks, on the outside of the 4th row in P8. And the final 2 drivers to round out your top 10. Great qualifying times for both Christopher Bishop in the 42 and Michael Newbraw in the number 6.
This is the time, if you're going to be a non-playoff driver, you want to show out now. And one last opportunity. Tyler Murray, your league owner, will be starting in P11 alongside Kevin D'Elia in the 12th position. You look back into the 13th position. Curtis Kelly is going to be there in that number 71. And Jason Hastings, once again, making a return here. He's going to be in the 14th position. Craig Loudenslager, a championship driver. He's going to be starting a little bit deeper in the field than he would have liked, down in the 15th position, with Jesse Prees down in the 16th spot. Rodney Roberts makes his another start here. He's going to be racing the season finale in the 17th position alongside Cody Kinsey. Brandon Gillis once again returns, and Austin Reedy, who did not set a qualifying lap, Kenneth, but we last saw him at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. He's looking to try and be very competitive once again at the 1.5 miles. And towards the back end of the field, we see Lance Hill, no qualifying time set in that Busch Light Ford. The CJ Munier machine in the 22nd position, and then we have Timothy Cook once again returning with us in the 23rd spot. Tyler Warner in the Red Bull 33 is going to be in the 24th position, and that is our 24-car field here, Kenneth. And just to give a little bit of a warning to our viewers, we do have 3 pace laps here for you tonight to give us time to talk to you and talk about what's going to be going on here tonight. So that's our first lap. This is our second of the 3 pace laps.
100%. So we'll get a little bit of time before we officially get the green flag here from Homestead-Miami. So there's a lot to talk about in terms of the race analysis. We go 134 laps, so about the same distance as an NIS length race here in this series. And we will go pretty much that distance. It would have been 167, but we're just going to stay at the regular distance at 134. Again, last time we were here was back in season number 4 of the series, and that was a win for Lawson Peel. But that was dead smack in the middle of the regular season, or near the end of it. That was around race 15, and now we're all the way in race number 26 here in this 4-wide Racing Cup Series 4 Season 5. So it is going to be a lot of fun. And you can look at the drivers lined up behind the iRacing official pace truck and the madness that's going to be surrounded. I'm surprised, though, Francisco, we're seeing Championship 5 rather split up. Usually you'd see them right there, top 5, 1st through 5th, but a lot of them are being split by non-playoff drivers. You look at guys like Eric Schaefer, Adam Alishire, AJ Green, Colin Forster. They're all not running for the title, but they want a race win. It doesn't matter if they are running for the championship or not. These guys are going to go for the win, and that means trying to put a qualifying time that's going to get them good track position.
And a lot of them did mention that they were struggling in qualifying for qualifying pace, so this might have a lot to do with that. They all mentioned Lawson was probably going to be one of the quicker ones, and you see him there in the pole position, so that is already being backed up. The 13 a little bit further back, 54 starts a little bit deep in the field. Everybody's scattered, Kenneth, but at the end of the day, they are going to find their way towards each other. It's inevitable. At some point, you are going to have to do battle, and someone else is going to have their moment in the sunshine in the front of the field as far as the championship race. And once again, to reiterate to our viewers, it does not, for the Championship 5, it does not matter where you finish in the race. It just matters where you finish compared to the other 5 drivers. All you have to do is finish better than everyone else. But we have seen in the past where you do win the race in order to win the championship. Is tonight going to be another example? We'll just have to see. It is sunset here in South Florida, Kenneth. By the time the checkered flag waves, will be in darkness and we'll have a champion. The pace truck, as we are looking back from it now onto our race field, is getting ready to take the green flag now. It's going to dive onto pit road. Lawson Peel, and the 99 of Colin Forster are going to lead us to the green flag. 1 race to go in the season, Kenneth, and we are championship racing from Homestead.
Lawson Peel, he controls lap number 1 from Homestead-Miami. Colin Forrester already on the charge as he tries to go to the outside. He's facing some opposition. That's Kyle Benson on the bottom side. They're side by side as well for fourth. Make that Eric Schaefer and AJ Green banging doors for the spot as Kyle Benson remains on the inside, trying to pressure that 99 car into turn 3 and 4.
And it's notable to mention he's already looking up to the outside. AJ Green is doing so as well behind him. I think while the sun's out, Kenneth, and the track is warmer, Kenneth, we might see these guys try to use that lane a little bit. And the tires are a little bit cold now, so it might be a struggle. But Forrester goes back to the outside. He's getting right up to that wall. You see the little gap between the wall and himself. You can get closer than that. I'm just not sure he wants to do that at this point in the race. But you see the run, he gets off the corner. He actually gets to the outside of Lawson Peel. Peel will give him the spot. He is not racing the 99. He's racing the 10. So move Colin Forrester up to the top spot early.
Colin Forrester already to the front. Great move by the Martini Racing Chevrolet, but he gets loose on the seam going up the racetrack, and so that opens the door for Lawson Peel to get back on the inside. Stacks up the top 4, so they've invited Eric Schaefer as he's gotten away from the 48 of AJ Green. Forrester and Benson wrap all the way on the high side against that outside safer barrier. Drinking Bros Racing looking to make a tandem work out of turn 2 on the backstretch, and it will not happen. Colin Forrester to the front end, Kyle Benson to the championship lead.
Side by side with the 12 of Peel, and that's a teammate of Peel's right behind them in the 3 of Eric Schaefer, who almost made the championship spot, just a handful of points away from that final spot. Schaefer going to try and help his teammate keep that position as he holds off now in P4. There you see AJ Green and Adam Alishire in the 6-car breakaway at the front of the field. And there you see Peel momentarily clears the 10 car, almost gets to the inside of Forster, but now Benson has to do battle with that 3 car as now the top 2 stay clear.
And you watch the difference in lines, and that's the magic of a track like Homestead-Miami, is that you can go on the bottom, in the middle, or at the very top, and you can find a run wherever. And a great run out of turn 4 by the 10 of Kyle Benson, so he will steal away third. Lawson Peel's going to maintain in the championship lead. He's trying to retaliate against Colin Forster and get back into clean air, but so far that is not the case. Most of the field all single file at the front for a side-by-side battle. It's around the back half of the top 10 for the most part. You're looking at Craig Loudenslager right behind Curtis Kelly. He's got Kevin D'Elia and Jesse Priest behind them. Pair of Chevrolets going at it for P12.
And you saw in that shot there, Kenneth, most of the field is single file, and I think that's probably by design. They want to get into this race, make sure they get in a rhythm, and try and get a couple of green flag runs under them before they start getting too aggressive. Click some laps off. It's 134 laps. We're only on lap 7 at the moment. We still got a ways to go in this race as we're now on board with the 13 of Craig Loudenslager, who started in P15. He's already worked his way up to P11. He's almost at the edge of the top 10, looking at the 71 of Curtis Kelly in front of him, who currently holds that 10th position. So if you're Craig Loudenslager, no worries at this point in the race. It's only lap 7. You still have a ways to go, and you definitely look like you have a faster race car than you did in qualifying. You could make some positions up and try and get closer to the front by the time the race progresses.
It's a skill that Craig Loudenslager has learned over the years and is almost perfected sometimes, depending on the track. You know, you look at venues like Darlington, where he's always been so good. It's because it's a brash surface and it's really rough on the race car, but over the long run, Loudenslager is very smooth on his inputs, and he is very calm no matter the situation, and then slowly but surely, he'll start to close in on the drivers in front, make challenges for position, and all of a sudden that could make him a viable threat when it comes down to this championship. There are 2 Championship 5 drivers in front of the 13 as Tyler Murray gets loose out of turn 4. So breaks free. The 28 of Jaden Porter now under fire for Brandon Banks. This is for 7th on the racetrack.
Battling away, and that's for 3rd in the championship order. As you do remember, Peel and Benson are further up in this field. And you see just ahead, the 6 cars have broken away, so this is a battle for P7, as you mentioned, and they're doing away, and Porter gets a little bit of momentum, has help from the 71 of Curtis Kelly to get clear once again. Loudenslager looking to try and find any gap, which will give him some clean air. That way he doesn't use up his stuff and heat up the tires, which is really what these next-gen cars are about. It's not so much as tire wear as it is tire temperature. You can cool them down a little bit and try and go on the attack once again, but if you heat them up, they'll start slipping and sliding.
And you watch the 13 of Craig Loudenslager shoot up to the top of the racetrack. He wants to have some clean air on that 54 of Brandon Banks, and now he's going to shoot to the inside. So this is a battle for 9th, and this is for one of the last spots inside the Championship 5. This is going to be for 4th out of the grid. He's going to make that pass complete. That's going to bring in Tyler Murray into the equation, but he's going to get loose again into turn 4. He's going to have to chase that Chevrolet to the bottom of the track. Fortunately, everybody gives him room. We remain green flag racing, no problems there. Meanwhile, the lead has changed once more, this time in favor of driver number 12. Lawson Peel gets by Colin Forrester for P1 as Adam Alshire tries to look for third on Kyle Benson.
Looks like Peel might have been saving a little bit early on in the run, gave the 99 whatever it is he wanted to do, and Forrester not quite giving up, but Peel definitely bit his time a little bit. Forrester looks to get back on the inside. He will. Benson loose on the bottom of the racetrack, saves the race car, but that's going to cost him 3 positions. He'll go down to P6 as Colin Forrester now going to the inside here in 1 and 2. They'll stay side by side. Expect Peel. Just look at how great he ran that outside wall. He's going to have a huge run here. Forrester will leave him the spot there on the outside and watches the 12 car absolutely goes down the back straightaway and will clear him going down into the turn 3 after almost having the 99 slide up in front of him off the corner, Kenneth. But as we go to the front straightaway, if we look on board with the 12 machine looking ahead, there you see it, the sunlight poking down just behind that suite in turn 1, Kenneth. That suite's no longer, the stands are no longer there. The suite still is, but that causes sunlight to still be an issue as the sun starts to set in Homestead.
Yeah, that's 100% true. That's a thing these guys are going to be fighting all night long, and that's something that usually strikes drivers, Francisco. Also, at the Phoenix Raceway, you look at certain parts of the track where the sun can veer in and all of a sudden blind you, most notably what is now the back straightaway at Phoenix Raceway, what used to be the start-finish line as Colin Forrester gets back to the front in the race lead, turns 3 and 4, but it's a problem that persists here at Homestead, and these guys are going to be fighting it all the way until the sun sets, so it's something you really have to get used to, and it could potentially cause some issues. But how about Adam Alshire? Great move up to the front so far. They've gone by Kyle Benson, him, AJ Green, and Aaron Schaefer. Look at the gap from 6 on back, but Adam Alshire on a mission early as he tries to catch up the Peel.
Of course, he's in that Shane Van Gensbergen machine there, which won at the Chicago Street Course in real life 2 weeks ago, Kenneth. He's trying to see if he can use his non-playoff magic to try and have a good run here tonight. We saw him have a good run here a couple seasons back in season 3. He's looking to try and have another good one here tonight as he is looking now to the inside of Lawson Peel. And Lawson Peel, interestingly, Kenneth, is running the top on both ends of the racetrack. He was not doing that a couple of laps ago. He is now, which means these guys are exploring. You look back in the field, obviously, and a lot more guys are doing it because there's a lot more dirty air. The pace is a little bit slower, so it kind of opens it up a little bit back here as Jaden Porter is now battling Craig Loudenslager for P7. So Loudenslager has gained almost 8 positions, depending on if he can get by the 28. Porter will not be clear off the corner, so give the momentum to the 13 car going into turn 1, and there you see Porter kind of back off, at least going into turn 1, which should allow the 13 to run that outside and should give him the spot here off of turn 2, which means, Kenneth, he has gained 8 spots in twice as many laps, and it means that he is on the move as a car gets sideways off of turn 2. I couldn't quite see who it was. It was a green race car, and there you see him on the inside of the racetrack. That is Christopher Bishop. A great save as he almost gets into the 6 of Newborough.
You saw the car chase it down on the racetrack to the apron, but fortunately he keeps that Chevrolet Camaro clean and tidy, so we will stay green here at Homestead-Miami. And the 42 will try his best to get back up to the front of the field. But really good stuff out of Craig Loudenslager at this stage of the race. We might just see how that could affect things moving forward. But at this point, Colin Forrester stays in the lead. Lawson Peel back in second by almost half a second. Adam Alshire in third, nicely settled through. AJ Green in fourth. Kyle Benson has now gone back inside the top 5. So he got around the number 3 of Eric Schaefer, and he's slowly but surely trying to make his way to the front. Contact to the 48 on the rear bumper and almost sent the Dr. Pepper machine into the outside wall. Kyle being a little aggressive there on entry.
Yeah, but a lot of that can happen from the way you enter the corner. If someone enters the corner closer to the wall, they have to slow down more. It'll change their handling compared to yours. And in that case, I don't think Benson expected the checkup that quickly. He gets into the back of the 48. I don't think he meant to do that. And of course, you can tell as soon as the contact happened, he backed off and gave the 48 more room. Now they're side by side for position. Benson currently struggling as he almost gets into the left rear of AJ Green as him and Alshire are running the outside. Peel has moved back down the racetrack. Right now, it looks like it's a solid mix of playoff guys and non-playoff guys. Kenneth, a couple of non-playoff guys moving up and trying to challenge at the front of the field, having only 2 in the top 6. But there you see now Porter, who's gotten back by the 13, is starting to put a little bit of a gap on him as they're trying to break away. Of course, from that big pack of cars behind them. Brandon Banks, of course, just behind these two. He's running in the P9 position, but he is last of the championship drivers. But they're slowly starting to make their way up, Kenneth. They started all scattered, but now 5 in the top 9.
Yeah, they're starting to make their way closer to the front. So, again, that conversation topic of you probably have to win this race in order to win the championship, that's going to start to come back into fray. Curtis Kelly with a nice run out of turn 2. He'll try and dial up the outside here on the 54 Banks, but he will shut the door. We're 3 wide for position. 3 Chevrolet Camaro is back there. That's for position just outside the top 10. Kevin DeLee in the middle. Tyler Murray on the bottom, struggling with this race car. And the 00 of Jesse Freeze still riding the top. Boy, Murray has been loose everywhere around this Homestead-Miami Speedway. He's going to be begging either for a caution or at least the start of green flag pit stops. But let's talk a little more about the driver of the 28, Francisco Bacchial, because out of the 5 that we are seeing right now, Jaden Porter has recency bias in terms of his experience and pace at 1.5-mile tracks on long green flag runs. And how the race ended at Charlotte Motor Speedway, where Porter was able to get his 2nd race win of season number 5 in this series, and tracking down Austin Reedy in the closing laps and being fast lap by lap, even when the tires were wearing out. Jaden Porter has put up an outstanding season so far, and 1.5 milers probably his bread and butter in terms of recent history.
The intermediates are definitely what have suited this 28 car. If you go back to his first career win at Nashville in the 1 1/3 racetrack, the 1 mile but really fast Dover Motor Speedway, where his 2nd win came from, and of course the Charlotte Motor Speedway, where his most recent victory was at. If you think Jaden Porter, you think intermediate racetracks, it's what he's used to, it's what he's able to run. And he commented to us, Kenneth, last week in the interview when we were talking about post-race Phoenix. He didn't feel too optimistic about this race, at least back then. He says he struggled at this racetrack. Obviously, when we talked to him in the pre-race, he felt a little bit more optimistic, probably put in some practice throughout the week to try and see if he can find some consistency, find a line that works for him to save tires, which, of course, is the main name of the game when it comes to the race time. If you get those long runs, you want to be able to save tires, because that's most likely what's going to put you at the front. And it looks like Benson was attacking early, then kind of faded back, but he's now starting to make some moves here in the middle portion of this run. A fuel window tonight is most likely going to be about 45 to 47 laps, kind of give or take. It looks like Benson at the halfway point of the run is starting to get back up. As loose is the 48 of green into the 3 of Schaefer. He spins down the racetrack, hits the inside wall. He'll slide back up a little bit. No caution yet by race control or by iRacing, as he is off the racing surface. He's unable to get going in the right direction. We'll see if a caution flag comes out after this, but here's the replay, Kenneth. We saw it happen there. He gets loose off the corner as now the caution waves, gets into the 3 of Eric Schaefer, and then slams the inside wall.
A hard hit for the 48 of AJ Green, who was running so well inside the top 10. Now has some damage on his Dr. Pepper Chevy Camaro. The same paint scheme that went to victory lane earlier this season at Darlington, where he was able to beat Kyle Benson on the last of 3 green-white checkered attempts. And the wounded number 48 is going to try and catch up to the front of the field. That's all led by Colin Forster. To toss up the point that you made, Francisco, about the 28 of Jaden Porter, where he usually says that he's usually not good at those tracks, I usually never believe him after what happened at the Charlotte Roval, because he told us he's not a good road course racer. He probably won't do well at the Charlotte Roval, and he goes out and finishes inside the top 3, almost hunting down Kyle Benson for the race win. So I'm not going to believe Jaden Porter for a second when he says that he is not good at a certain track, because he can pull a lot of speed out in a matter of a couple of days. Leaders are on pit road, of course, led by that 99. First stops here at lap number 25. And this is interesting, Francisco, because it's pretty much in the middle of a long green flag run. And like you said, the window for pit stops that we should expect if we go green. But for these guys, they're right in the middle. And Colin Forster, key mistake there, overshot his pit box and had to reverse a couple of inches.
And lost a good bit of time in the process, Kenneth, so he might lose several positions. Lawson Peel was running second, which should see him win the race off pit road. Indeed, he does. Benson will get out second. Jaden Porter will edge out Forster for the 3rd position, so move that 28 car up to P3. Kenneth Forster loses 3 spots on pit road. Alishire in P5, a strong move by the pit crew of the 28 to gain him spots early.
And that 28, we saw the magic that he performed at Talladega, where he was able to gain spots on pit road, but he does it under caution. Nice run by the 28, so that puts the top 3 in the championship 5 all within range, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Forster in 4th, Alishire in 5th, and then the next championship driver in action, Craig Loudenslager in 6th, Brandon Banks in 7th place. So that's your current championship fight as it stands. We do not have anybody a lap down or more, so that is good news. We've had not that much trouble here from Homestead-Miami Speedway, whether it be physical on-track action or connection issues. But this is good stuff for Lawson Peel, Francisco, because you saw the battle that he had to have with Colin Forster. That wore out his tires quite a bit. And while there's going to be more pressure here, no doubt, with Kyle Benson and Jaden Porter around him, the biggest thing for the driver of the 12 is that he's got clean air, which is something that those other guys really don't have when you start putting some laps after a restart. So Lawson Peel can take advantage of this jump to turn 1 and try and hold on to the top position.
And a jump it will be, Kenneth, because now it's a leader-controlled restart. Unlike the initial start of the race where they go at the same time whenever the green lights come on, now it's up to the 12 car to decide when the race is going to be restarted. So he has the best advantage as far as launch, so he should have a decent gap going into turn 1, and it's going to be up to everyone else to chase him down afterwards. Of course, Benson has been very aggressive on restarts before. We'll see what he's able to do. Jaden Porter has done good in 3rd position on restarts before, so we'll see what he's able to do and see if he can attack the 10 car. I think that's probably on his mind. Forster's going to try and make up positions after losing a couple there on the pit stops. And Craig Loudenslager, Kenneth, is up into the 6th position. Brandon Banks is in 7th. So all 5 of them are in the top 7 as we approach the Geico restart zone. And we're going to get back under green here. Lawson Peel with a great launch. Kyle Benson's going to be side by side with Jaden Porter for the 2nd position.
Back under green from Homestead-Miami. Porter looking on the inside of Kyle Benson. That's for the 2nd spot, and it turns 1 and 2. Colin Forster possibly threading the needle 3 wide. He's looking for the middle, off the corner on the back straightaway. Will give the drafting assistance to the car of the 10. So far, that is allowing Lawson Peel to maintain comfortably. As here comes the 10 of Benson, a big jump on the outside lane. Jaden Porter now under fire from Alishire. He will back out, and Benson looking for a big run at a turn 4 for the lead.
And he's going to have momentum into turn 1. Does he take it? It looks like he'll go to the outside. He'll try to run that line once again like he did in 3 and 4. And again, if the closer you get to that wall, Kenneth, there is more momentum to be found if done right. There's more possibility for error the closer you get to the wall. But it looks like he gets a solid run once again. He's going to get right to the bumper, look to the inside. He's going to try to take the lead here in 3 and 4. He goes to the bottom. Kind of might have hit the apron just a little bit, but Peel, watch this. As he goes down in the corner, he'll go to the door of the 10 car to try and prevent him from being able to put the throttle down. A couple cars getting loose in the back. Porter down to P5 as Alishire gets by him, and Peel may have struck the outside wall going into turn 1. He'll lose some momentum. He's going to try and run the outside now, which should give him a run here off of turn 2. He actually gets in the wall. He's into the wall of turn 2.
A big hit to the outside wall for Peel, so he'll drop to 3rd. Luckily, he does have space in between Colin Forster and 2nd, Adam Alishire. The 91 car back in 4th, but Peel with a mistake running the outside lane, so it's going to back him up a bit. Kyle Benson moves to the championship lead at Homestead. Jaden Porter fight for 4th against Alishire, so he's slowly trying to regain his position that he lost on that restart. And Colin Forster looking for some more ground as well. He's dialing up the inside. Kyle Benson with a big run out of 2. And that 99 is still there, but to no avail. Benson stays up front.
And for our viewers, Kenneth, Colin Forster's ran really good here in the 2 races that we've ran at Homestead-Miami in the series. Even though he didn't win either of the races, he ran 2nd or 3rd for most of the Season 3 race and within the top 5, I believe, in the Season 4 race. So Forster's always ran good here, but there's always been 1 or 2 guys that have done better. And now as a non-playoff driver in this championship race, I think he feels now is the opportunity to go out there and win. Most of his competition is battling for a championship. They know they're not racing him per se, they're racing each other. That gives them an extra edge to go out there and be extra aggressive, knowing they'll probably back down to him and give him the position.
Well, when you've got nothing to lose, you can really be aggressive and dangerous, and that could gain the respect of the drivers around you. We know how good Colin Forster is overall, and we know how close he could be to be a championship holder. He's been close a couple of times, but unfortunately has not been able to make the championship 5 since Season 3, where his teammate AJ Green was able to hoist the trophy. The Martini Racing Chevrolet stays on the bottom, but again, no success on driver number 10. Now, there is a note that we should make. There is a lap car right in front of the field, and I believe that is the 96 of Austin Reedy, which is going to be a very interesting storyline. You look at the back end of the 96, Francisco, because he is teammates with Kyle Benson. Both of them are together on Murray Reedy Motorsports. So is Austin Reedy going to play a factor in this championship fight, or will he just concede and let the entire field by without a hitch?
I don't think he'll be doing too many things as far as to the 99. I think they'll know that that's not the fight for Benson. But if Peel becomes a challenge, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he runs the 12s line for a corner or two. So that's as subtle as it gets. That's as mild as really is allowed. That's going to be up to him, of course. And look at this, Porter with a good run off the turn 4, gives the bumper to the 12 down the straightaway, pushes him off into turns 1 and 2, and then he'll go to the high side. And I remember earlier this week, Kenneth, I was talking with Jaden. He was asking me for tips on how to run this outside lane. I was giving him some advice, told him what he needed to do, what he needed to look forward to, and watch. He's going to get a huge run off of turn 2. He'll go to the inside and try to see if he can run the bottom to clear the 12 off the 4.
Jaden Porter looking for second in the Championship 5 standings, and he has gotten it out of turn 4. Nice move by driver number 28. Lawson Peel, though, not going away without a fight. He'll cross over to the inside, going back for turn 1, and Jaden Porter's going to hold on the top side. Looks like top 4. 3 of them are running the very outside lane. Porter, the highest out of anyone we've seen other than Craig Loudenslager. We'll see if he's got a run on Peel, but for the moment, the defending series champion holds the fort down. He'll try to slowly catch back up to Colin Forster. But if you're Jaden Porter, are you willing to fight Lawson Peel as hard as you will? Because you know that Kyle Benson is up at the front. That's your biggest target if you want to lead this Championship 5 grid. So is that balance between trying to be aggressive while also trying to take note of the situation, is that slowly affecting drivers mentally like Porter in this situation?
It absolutely is, Kenneth. You have to get every position you can, especially in this race. You need the track position, but you also have to know when to fight your battles. You can't do it every single lap. That's how you burn your stuff up and lose positions, as there you see Peel now attacking Forster and getting the second spot. And actually, Porter now has lost the position once again as he's racing the 91 car. You see him side by side off 4. Peel now moves up into second. Forster didn't put up too much of a fight, but you have to find that balance, Kenneth. You have to be able to determine as a championship driver when to fight. Whether it's a championship driver or not, you have to determine for yourself when do you battle a car, because it can absolutely hurt you, whether you get damage, whether your tires fall off a little bit by doing so. Everything has to be calculated to a precise guess, really, because you're not really sure what it's going to do. All you can do from behind the wheel of the race car is just assume that by not taking part in the battle, you're going to help your tires and your race car by giving you an extra lap to live.
And this is going to be tough for Jaden Porter because he's stuck in this battle with Adam Alishire, who is not a playoff driver. He's not running for the championship. He's just out here for a race win. He is giving that 28 a tough time, and that's only going to reel in the driver of the 13, Craig Loudenslager, who's just been kind of hanging in here for a while. But that's all you really need to do if you're a driver at the back half of the Championship 5 grid, and you've got some of those playoff drivers in front of you. Just hang in where you're at, try to run a consistent race, and if they start battling in front of you, that's always good news, because that means they're losing time. It means you have that opportunity to close in on them, and if they're side by side, they're wasting their tires, so you know you can conserve your stuff a little bit and then pick up the speed later in the run. And it was a good pickup early on, Francisco, for Craig Loudenslager, who's now in a Championship 5 appearance that probably has given him the best chance. He's in his second straight. Last season, he was at their Texas Motor Speedway with a chance at the title. Unfortunately, it did not go his way, but I think consistency has definitely helped this 13 car a little more. He had a big miracle last season. This season, way different in a better way.
Yes, it's been documented that for a while there he was on a winless streak before getting the victory last season at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and he's been able to win again this season, Kenneth. So he's now in the championship 2 straight seasons and has a really good opportunity to win if he's able to get the track position and executes at the end of the race. The driver of the 13 is someone capable of performing late race. We saw him do it on several occasions where late in the race he's able to put on a performance and be able to go out there and take the win. As you see now, the 28 of Porter takes away the 3rd spot, and looks like Peel is now trying to challenge for the top spot in the championship. Benson's been running the outside, and there you see Peel working the bottom, holding off the 99 of Forster just in front, as sliding there, I believe, was the 28 of Porter. Actually, no, it's the 12 of Peel that slid there. We were looking off the front bumper of your leader, and Forster should get by, and it invites the 28 of Porter now to attack the 12 car in 3 and 4. They'll stay side by side. Peel was in an awkward spot there as far as line. They'll remain side by side going down the front straightaway. Kenneth, this is the battle for second in the championship.
Well, when we talked to Craig Loudenslager pre-race, he talked about that this track is really interesting to drive because it's tight in and loose off, and it looks like loose off in the exit was exactly what happened to Peel. He was on the inside trying to look at Kyle Benson. It looks like as he chased the car up the track, the car got unsettled, almost got into the outside wall. It allowed Colin Forster to get back in second and has opened up that gap to race leader Kyle Benson. It's now almost half a second, 0.5 between Benson and Forster, first and second place. And so far, most of the top 9 or so, all single file in this instance. You look at Peel trying to get back to second, looking on the inside of Colin Forster. And that's a very unique feature of this Homestead-Miami Speedway, Francisco, that we really haven't discussed, is that it's got long corner exits, which could open up the opportunity for cars getting loose. It's a very wide entry, and then it's a very wide exit, so you have a lot of time you're turning, and it's a smooth transition to either straightaway, front or back. And when you start applying the throttle, you can easily get over-eager, step out that race car before you even notice it.
It's one of the best features of this racetrack, really, because it allows it to do what it does, which is run the outside the way you do, use a lot more brake than you would at most mile and a halves, and it puts it in the driver's hands more because you have to do more things than most mile and a half. So it makes it fun. It allows it to do what it does, and honestly, most of the drivers, they enjoy it. They comment on it, and for those of you that have driven on the racetrack in the sim, it's important to note that 1 and 2 is different from 3 and 4, Kenneth, and I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about as well. In 1 and 2, it feels a lot more consistent from the start of the corner to the exit. The entry is rather abrupt as far as the banking is concerned, both on entry and exit. 3 and 4, it feels like it takes forever to get to the center of the corner, and once you do, there's a massive bump there on the high side that if you're not careful, you can possibly spin out or get into the outside wall. And guys have been running up there all night so far because the outside has really kicked in here, but all it takes is one little mistake and someone gets into that outside wall in 3 and 4, and it could cause some damage to the race car, a yellow flag, and it's going to be right about there, right where Tyler Murray's going, right where that damage on the wall is. That's exactly where that bump is, and then turn 4, it takes forever to get off of as well.
And you can easily get understeer in 3 and 4 more often than you would in 1 and 2. I've seen more drivers get in the wall coming out of the final quarter than they do coming out of turn 2. Well, speaking of the wall, 16 and the 20, that's Rodney Roberts, Tyler Murray. Both of them caught the fence on the outside of the racetrack, and they're 3 wide. Murray's down on the apron. He saves it. And boy, Francisco, Tyler has been struggling with the rear end of that race car all night long. It felt like after the first round of stops, he would be able to diagnose the issue. But so far in this run, lap 47, he consists with the same problem.
And a lot of that has to do with the seam, Kenneth. If you make any abrupt moves on either of those 2 seams, which you see on the lower side and the higher side of the racetrack, any abrupt moves on those seams, and it will cause your race car to get loose and lose traction. We've seen that many times here in the past. It led to one of those infamous races down in the ARCA series where we had a bunch of yellows. A lot of those incidents were at the helm of those seams. Right now on your screen, you see the Busch Light #1 of Lance Hill, who's not in the Championship 5, Kenneth, but of course, if everybody was paying attention as the 91 gets it into the wall in front of him, Busch Light did announce that they were going to be partnering with Ross Chastain for next season, with Kevin Harvick retiring at the end of 2023. So I think this is a nod to exactly that. So why not Lance Hill, who drives the #1, is representing that very contract decision for 2024. He's doing that here in the final race of this season.
Well, those Trackhouse racing cars are all over the place. You saw them loose out of turn 2. Alashar was loose the previous lap out of turn 4, and they almost made contact, and they're sort of fighting for position together. Alashar has fallen off quite a bit, but yeah, you're right. Tossing back to Lance Hill, the driver of the 1. I mean, when you drive a Trackhouse number, you gotta drive Trackhouse schemes. That's probably the rule that you have to have, and we've seen him run Ross Chastain cars all year long, whether it be throwbacks, whether it be the WWEX car that he was famously known for running, one that he won at in National Super Speedway in real life earlier this year. And then, of course, this fictional Busch Light car that Ross Chastain will be sponsored by in 2024. So a really cool announcement for Trackhouse, and they're having a really exciting time with the win of Ross Chastain. That sponsorship announcement for next year. Shane Van Gisbergen winning the first race for that Project 91 expansion team. That's really awesome to see for that Trackhouse Racing group. And Trackhouse Racing in a representative form in this series has also been pretty good, although none of them are in the Championship 5, unfortunately. Battle for the lead might be brewing up. Lawson Peel got by Colin Forster despite his mistake earlier on in this run, and now he's putting the fire up to Kyle Benson for the championship lead.
And Benson took notice. There you see him moving down to the bottom to try and take that line away from the 12 car, but the 12 might have saved his tires just a little bit more as you see him gaining a little bit with help of the draft. Benson been persistent on running the top in 1 and 2. It's really giving him good runs off the corner. And what it does, as long as he exits side by side with Peel, Kenneth, it should give him the spot because, watch, as the 12 has to give him space on the outside, the 10 clears him going into turn 3. He's going to sit and run right in front of him as Peel's going to try to look to the outside a little bit to get some clean air, but ultimately will be a couple car lengths behind as they come off turn 4. Peel will get a run once again off of 4, look to the inside, repeat the process. So I think Benson's aim, at least right now, as long as he can, is to stay side by side with the 12 car off of turn 2. If he can do that, he can keep the lead.
And he's in the outside wall, so that's going to open the door for Peel. So easy maneuver there for driver number 12. And the defending series champion is back up front here at Homestead-Miami. Benson with a little mistake there, running the high side in 1 and 2. Risk versus reward you have when you run up there. And driver of the 10 will be back in second. You'll still have a chance to respond. He's still within distance at about 1/10 of a second. But he's got to make this quick. He does not want to let that 12 car run away. And Francisco, what I noticed there out of Kyle Benson is what you pointed out, that he changed his line just to get in front of the 12, give him the dirty air. Those were the same games that were being played at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And Lawson Peel was one of those drivers in that respective game. You saw him trying to fight with drivers. They were taking his line away. He had to try and search all over the racetrack for any amount of grip, and it's happening here at Homestead, although we've got a much wider surface, and we've got a battle between 2 Championship 5 drivers. This is for 5th place, Craig Loudenslager and Brandon Banks.
We got 5 in the top 6 now, so they really are starting to find their way towards the very front of the field, Kenneth. It's like a real-life championship race. They're all up in the front of the field. Banks being patient. He's moved his way up now into the 5th position. Into the top 5 goes the 54. But you're right about what you said. Benson changed his line. The aero games are being played here tonight. And that happens with these cars, with these next-gen cars, with the way the underbodies are. It makes the dirty air more concentrated, but it hasn't particularly helped it. If you run directly behind someone at the right enough angle, it is far more severe. Any bit of clean air will be far more beneficial, and it will allow you to get some good enough runs. Benson, of course, was trying to push his luck on the outside, got into the wall, and that's what happens when you run up there, Kenneth. As you see the 99, he has nothing to lose, so he doesn't mind running up there. But if a championship driver runs up there and makes one little mistake, it will result in him getting damaged on the outside wall. As they see the 28-foot go right in front of Forster. Forster's going to push him down the straightaway now. Move Porter now up into the 3rd position. He's about a 1.5 seconds off your race leaders, Kenneth. But notice as we complete 56 laps here, the sun is starting to set. And now is when these drivers have that issue on the front straightaway. The sun glares right in their eyes.
We'll take notice of that as Jaden Porter dives into turn 1 as he steals that spot away from Forster, who's sort of struggled a bit on this run. His set of tires looks like he used them up quite a bit. Lawson Peel leading this race now to the tune of 7/10 of a second. Last lap by, there's a pretty stark difference between the 2 championship competitors. Lawson Peel with a 33.955. Kyle Benson, on the other hand, a 34 flat. So things are getting really rough for Kyle Benson. He's going to really have to hope that he can get a caution or some fresh tires along the way. And Francisco, there it is. I wanted to get the view as Lawson Peel came back around the racetrack. The blur of just seeing, now we're really the blindsided aspect of it being just full with the sun and not being able to see what's going to happen in turn 1 is there's a lap car in front. I believe that is Austin Reedy in the 96. He is still not a lap down as that caution came out at the perfect time, but we should be expecting, Francisco, another run towards green flag pit stops.
And to kind of go back to what you were mentioning about the sun, these drivers are lucky that that suite is still up there. They took down the grandstands, they turned it into a bar, but the suite is still up there. That's where that camera's mounted down towards turn 1. That suite really helps the sun glare because it gets late enough into the day before sunset, it's behind that suite. So it won't pose as much of a problem just before the lights turn on, but for a good bit there, it does. And when it does, it's really bad. So these drivers are looking forward to getting past this stage of that sun glare and getting to the point where the lights on the racetrack turn on and it's more about just focusing on the night aspect to see a car get loose a little bit further back, as we're now about the same point in the run where we were last time when AJ Green has his issues, Kenneth. We're about 30 laps into this run, meaning 15 to 20 laps away from green flag pit stops, assuming we stay under the green flag, which means we won't get all the way to the end of the race as far as a fuel tank. If they were to hit, 2 pit stops are still absolutely needed for everybody.
You know, I'm just going to say that these drivers are probably going to have to hope that iRacing doesn't update this track and get rid of the grandstands at some point, because that glare is going to get 100 times worse as soon as that happens. So the good thing is that they've got those grandstands blocking a bit more of the sun, so they're still dealing with the glare, but it's not as bad as it could be. In real life, it got way worse. So the fact that they got rid of the grandstands, and it just feels like empty space when you have that champion suite being the only thing in the air blocking you and the sun. Colin Forrester fighting for 6. He's fallen off. Craig Loudenslager in the number 13 goes to the outside, so he takes away 5th. How about Curtis Kelly, driver of the 71, the Skybox NASCAR Chevrolet? He's done a nice job of being consistent in tonight's field. And you got to give credit as well, Francisco, for a championship race on Homestead. These guys have been as clean as ever, and it's been so fun to watch.
It's been reminiscent of the Season 3 race, and if you remember, Kenneth, just before we took the green flag, I mentioned, what race will this represent? More like Season 3 or more like Season 4? Early days indicates more like Season 3, where we had just the one caution just past the halfway point in that particular race. Just one quickie yellow early on in this one, and here Jaden Porter has caught up to the 10 car of Benson. There you see Peel all the way up there in the front. That's about 2 seconds of a gap. Porter has maintained some good speed in this long run, Kenneth, just like he did at Charlotte, where he was very competitive. You see him getting loose as he crosses the seam. He's going to lose a good fair bit of time now. And Benson is able to hold on to that second position. But with that pass on Forrester, Kenneth, it means the top 5 drivers are all the championship 5.
This is what we were expecting to see at the drop of the green flag, and now they are at the top. So the cream rising up here at Homestead-Miami. Lawson Peel leading this race now by 2.3 seconds, but he's slowly approaching lap traffic. He just got by Tyler Warner, put him a lap down. Next car in line should be Brandon Gillis in the 9 car, the only Ford Mustang in tonight's field, so looks like he might get the inside. Actually, no, we're on the outside. Oh no, now back to the inside. So a little bit unpredictable there, but Peel does a nice job of getting around, and Gillis keeps it clean as the 12 runs the high side and is trying to pull away from everyone else. 64 laps in. Kyle Benson, this is his 3rd Championship 5 appearance in his 4-Wide Racing Cup Series career. His last appearance in the Championship 5 came Season 3 at Atlanta. Finished last out of the group. When you look at Colin Forrester, Adam Alshire, Brandon Banks, and AJ Green, the inevitable champion in that season. That was his championship field as he hits the outside wall out of 4. And then before that, Season 2 was at a 1.5-mile track as well, Charlotte Motor Speedway. He was again last after hitting the tire barrels and just having a poor race, just having bad luck at the end of that one. And he fell short to guys like Craig Loudenslager, Tyler Murray, Nicholas Suzuki, Scott Healy, who ultimately became the champion of season number 2. But Francisco, this season, probably way different and probably way more special if Kyle Benson can get to victory lane and win this championship, because you talk about, again, the torn ACL, all the emotions that he had to deal with missing out and looking at races on the broadcast and being in the broadcast booth instead of having the wheel and pedals with him out on the racing track many weeks on end, where he tried to make the sim, he tried to make the race, and his pain was just too much to overcome, so he had to sit out. Then finally came back and has one of the best playoffs that we've ever seen out of anyone in this series. Kyle Benson, if he wins the championship tonight, it would be an absolute story to tell for ages to come.
It definitely has 2015 Kyle Busch written all over it, if you will. Missed a couple races with the injury, the playoff situation on how he got in, and he's performed. He's done his part. You heard him mention next man up. He wished it was under different circumstances instead of Joe forfeiting his spot, but he was the next one that got in, and he's taken absolutely maximum opportunity with that chance that Joe gave him, and he's up here with a legitimate shot halfway through this race, Kenneth, of being able to win the championship. Right now, he is about 3 seconds behind your race leader, so he is starting to fall back a bit, but I think he's hoping for another caution to get another reset, get another restart, fix some of the damage he has on his race car, and get some brand new tires. But I think brand new tires might be in store for most of the field, as we are almost approaching green flag pit stops. There's Lawson Peel now going through 1 and 2. to completed 67 laps, Kenneth, which means we are halfway through tonight's race.
Halfway through this race here at Homestead-Miami, and only one caution here so far. Jaden Porter continues to knock on the door of Kyle Benson. This is still for second, not only in the race, but for the championship. And this could be pivotal as well, Francisco, for green flag pit stops. Because as we're 68 laps into this race, we enter our longest green flag run of the night, now sitting at 43 laps. So these guys are getting close to that pit window. We should expect guys to come in sooner than later. So far, we haven't had anyone come in for the most part, other than Eric Schaefer, driver of the 3. So he comes in, but all of the lead lap cars up at the front, they have stayed out up until this point. Jaden Porter has the nose in for second, this time in a 3 and 4. Jaden Porter has it. Can Kyle Benson respond? So far, the answer is no, and Jaden Porter up to the second spot.
And Porter's been just as fast as your leader on in this long run, Kenneth. It's the same thing we saw at Charlotte. The 28 on long runs has been very competitive. Benson will fight it back into turn 1 as he got good run off the corner. But the 28 Porter going to roll that high side in 1 and 2. And that's where you want to be, Kenneth. If you're going to end up on the outside, you'd rather do it in 1 and 2. You lose a lot of momentum in 3 and 4 compared to 1 and 2. And it looks like Benson, with an issue off of 2, might have gotten loose. That's going to open the door to Brandon Banks, who also has appeared in this long run. Kenneth, remember, talking to Brandon Banks before the race, he wanted long runs. He's gotten long runs. He's up to P3.
It's one of his strong suits is maintaining on the long run and also being consistent. Brandon Banks is known for just finding his way at the end of each respective season. That's why he's in his 3rd straight championship 5. He does not play around when it comes to postseason racing, and he has now gotten 3rd away from Kyle Benson, who's slowly starting to struggle more on those set of Goodyear Eagles. And you were talking about, Francisco, the fact that Porter was setting lap times even to the race leader. About a couple of laps ago, he was faster than the leader, Lawson Peel himself. Now, last time by, it was a little faster for Peel, and as he crosses the line, 34.207. Porter, as he crosses the line, at 34.473. But Porter has been there. He shows that he's got some pace. He could probably put the fight up to Peel if he's just a little bit closer. And I noticed there, Francisco, the 12 car ran the bottom all the way through 1 and 2. He did not go all the way up to the outside banking. So Peel's just trying different things and seeing what's working, but he's also noting that we are entering green flag pit stop territory.
Absolutely. Green flag pit stops are near. Knowing Schaefer came down pit road, it does mean these guys are starting to get low on the fuel tank, which means they'll have to come in at some point for more Sunoco fuel and for Goodyear tires. These tires wear extremely here, as there you see Lance Hill and AJ Green doing away with a battle for position. And I think we're going to have some green flag pit stops here in a handful, as some cars are on pit road, and championship contender Kyle Benson finds himself in the pit lane. There you see the 93 of Cody Kinsey exiting his stall, and it should be 4 tires here for Benson, and we'll see just how long it takes for the other title contenders to find their way onto pit road. The undercut is definitely what you want to do here, Kenneth, as far as feel. You definitely want to gain a lot of time on those new tires, but if you're disciplined enough, you'll wait it out and try and have new tires for the rest of the run, as now Craig Loudenslager finds himself on pit road, and you see multiple cars coming off pit road in turn 4.
The second out of the 5 championship 5 drivers of Craig Loudenslager, he is in. He's got a lot of non-playoff drivers with him. We saw a fantastic battle building between Lance Hill and AJ Green, but they come in synchronized, and here comes a 42, Christopher Bishop. He's also coming in, so that's going to bring sort of a warning to these guys up at the front, what they may do as they come out of turn 4. And as Brandon Banks slowly approaches the driver of the 28, we might see this battle develop or end before green flag pit stops for either one of those guys. And I wonder if Lawson Peel is going to go all the way until the tank runs dry as Colin Forster comes in, Francisco, because you'd think that's probably the best case scenario as the fastest car on the racetrack.
It's definitely the right strategy, especially with the lead he has. He can wait and see what the others do before he decides to do anything. He can stay out there and run. And of course, you never know when the caution flag's going to come out. We've seen it multiple times in this playoffs where caution flag comes out in the middle of green flag pit stops and it shuffles the field around. If you're Lawson Peel, you do not want to have to worry about that. Looks like Jaden Porter's kind of lost some speed here on this long run. As contact with the 54 of Banks, Porter goes up the racetrack. He's going to lose some time. Looks like he tried to tuck in behind the 54, misjudged it, and fortunately for both of them, nothing really big happened there, but Porter loses some time, and he's going to pull down to P3 as Banks on this long run has really started to come alive.
Look at here, the contact, and almost got Porter into the outside wall. You saw how much he had to back out of the throttle just to make sure that he can make it onto the corner. And here comes Banks and Porter. So they are in for their stop, and the same goes for the leaders. So the top 3 in the championship 5 all coming in at the same time. And the question is, where does Kyle Benson settle in all of this? The 12 car comes into his stall. The first one right behind the iRacing official pace truck. It's a clean hit on the brakes towards his pit stall, and 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles for the defending champ.
So we know Benson and Loudenslager were the first ones of the title contenders to come down pit road. So we'll see where they exit. There you see the 10 car. He's working his way off of 4 and onto the front straightaway. And do remember, here at Homestead, you have to run that road there down the bottom to exit pit road. And there you see now Benson, who's running the outside already, will be the championship leader as he goes by Banks now. Or actually, that was Peel. He just went past. So that's the gap right there between your title cars. Actually, no, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. That's the 54 Banks. There's Peel, who stays in front of Benson. So that's how much time Benson lost on the previous run towards the end on those old tires. He gets up to second, but look how much time Lawson gained on pit road, going on and off pit road. That's a huge amount of time you can gain, Kenneth, because that access road, it opens up opportunity for mistakes.
It definitely does. And if we can get a clean route out of that pit road access road and just have a lot of speed carrying out of it on the back straightaway going to turn 3, you can have a lot of good go for you. As we saw 2 drivers come out of pit road, Lawson Peel has a lead of 2.2 seconds over Kyle Benson with 4 lap pressure tires. Curtis Kelly has 6 laps, now 7 lap old tires. He might be caught by Brandon Banks before this is all said and done. But this race currently in the hands of the defending series champion. We'll take a short break and go side by side, but you won't miss coverage of the 4 Wide Racing Cup Series championship race from South Florida.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
wanted the best, you got them 4 abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws! Magazine will be available September 27th. Pre-order your copy today.
Back live from the Homestead-Miami Speedway, where we continue our coverage of the Championship 5 finale for Season 5 of the 4-Wide Racing Cup Series. Kenneth Bueno and Francisco Bacchiao bring you all the action here from Homestead, Florida, and you're looking at Championship 5 and race leader Lawson Peel holding out a 3.5 second gap over the next championship driver in line, Kyle Benson, who is having the race of his life against the 71 of Curtis Kelly. They were side by side. You were looking at it on the left side of your screen when we went under break. And so far, things have been really good between these two in terms of the battle. But this is really bad, Francisco, for Benson, because he's been trying to catch up to Peel, who beat him off of pit road when he got this undercut. And now Curtis Kelly giving him the pressure is ultimately making that trek to the 12 much worse.
And of course, it doesn't help the fact that the 10 of Benson is on about 5-lap older tires than the 12 of Peel, which will help keep Peel's case be able to pull a bit more of a gap than the 10 would want to. And now with this battle, it's not going to help him at all. So Benson wants to at least get the 71 out of his mirror, get away from him just enough to be able to start putting a little bit of a gap shortage onto the 12 car. But watch, this is what you mentioned earlier in the race, Kenneth, that 96 of Austin Reedy, teammates to the 10 of Benson. He's almost going a lap down, and the 12 is kind of struggling to get by. So wondering right now, is this the 96 trying to stay on the lead lap to help his teammate?
It might just be a case of both trying to help his teammate by being on the lead lap and also holding that 12 up. He's got 1 lap fresher tires than Peel, so he has that opportunity to just stay up in front of the 12 and make him work a little harder to get around this track. So we'll see if that closes in the gap, if it helps Benson anymore. But Benson, with the fight that he had to have with Curtis Kelly, it dropped him off quite a bit, and it is almost 4 seconds of difference between those two, as we have already reached halfway here from South Florida, and Lawson Peel is starting to, like you said, Francisco, under the brake, flex his muscle. And we were talking about the start difference between last season's Championship 5 race at Texas and tonight's race already 89 laps in. We saw a lot more separation in the Championship 5. It felt like Lawson Peel, that was his championship to lose, his race to lose as well. It was between him and non-playoff driver Steven Stepien going at it for the win all night long. Everybody else in the championship round, they were all just fighting within themselves. But tonight, we've seen a lot more even spread between drivers taking over the lead in the championship and just having position of their own. But as the night has fallen, Lawson Peel has gotten better, which has been a problem for everyone else.
Of course, earlier when the sun was out, we saw a lot more variety. Guys were really trying to be patient and try different strategies. Lawson Peel in this run has started to move his way up and further away from everybody, but there's still room for something to happen. Everybody's been competitive enough that all they need is a yellow flag, an opportunity to close in on that 12 car, and they can go up there and pass them, especially on restarts. That's probably been where the 12 car has struggled today. On the 2 starts or restarts we've had, Kenneth, that's where the driver of the 12 has kind of struggled. There you see on the right side of your screen your track conditions, an 85-degree night here in Homestead. It's a warm night. These summers, man, they've been kind of warm. The track temperature 89 degrees. There you see a 10-mile-per-hour wind, so a slightly breezy night, which will help those temperatures. But a warm South Florida night, Kenneth, in July is going to spell some trouble as far as handling, and we've seen that on the racetrack. Guys are slipping and sliding.
He has turned up, not only weather-wise, but just on-track action. It's been so much fun to watch. Curtis Kelly has fallen off in that battle for the second spot against Kyle Benson. Now the fresher tires are starting to prevail. In the case of the 54, Brandon Banks, nice run out of turn 4. And the driver you're on board with right now, Jaden Porter, who got his first career 4-Wide Cup victory at the Nashville Superspeedway, who's been able to grab a couple of more wins since, and is still looking for his first ever 4-Wide Cup championship. But he's been back and forth this evening. Brandon Banks has picked up the intensity, and we're starting to see Francisco Drinkin' Bros Racing go to the top of the board. We have seen teams fight within each other all season long, whether it be Drinkin' Bros Racing, Stocks Motorsport, Bacchiao Bueno Racing with that solo representation in the playoffs of Jaden Porter, Southern Heat Racing with how good Craig Loudenslager has been as of late, Trackhouse Racing with Lance Hill and Adam Alshire. So many teams, so many great drivers, but at season's end, we're looking at Drinkin' Bros Racing at the top of it. And I forgot to mention Murray Reedy Motorsports, how good they've been as well. Can't count them out, but Drinkin' Bros Racing, you got to give them credit for how good they've been. And you can imagine as well, if Joe Sanchez made this playoffs, how different the fight would have been too.
Absolutely, Kenneth. Joe Sanchez is a very competitive driver. He's been able to win races in the 4Wide Racing Cup Series and back then in the 4Wide Racing ARCA Series and Truck Series as they used to have. Joe has been a very good driver. You can't help but think that if he was in this playoff field that he would have had a shot at being on this stage, but of course, due to circumstances, he forfeited his playoff spot, and that put Kyle Benson in, and Benson was able to capitalize on that, but he is really struggling on these set of tires, Kenneth. He's been really sliding, losing a lot of time. That puts Banks now up into P2, but this is all 5.5 seconds behind Lawson Peel, so guys are really falling behind. They're all racing each other. If you look at this shot, Kenneth, just behind Forster, there's the 13 of Loudenslager. The 4 of these guys are all racing for P2. Lawson Peel 5 and a bit seconds ahead. If all these guys want to compete for a win in the championship, they're probably going to have to pray for a yellow flag between now and the checker flag.
They definitely do, because that gap between themselves and Lawson Peel is starting to balloon lap after lap. Championship 5 drivers, 4 of them in the top 5. Craig Loudenslager, the only one outside of this group in P6, but he should catch up to Colin Forster before this run is all said and done. Kyle Benson is trying to fight back against Jaden Porter. He'll make an inside move out of turn 4, gets a bit loose, and there's the help on the outside that Benson did not want to see. Colin Forster, as a non-playoff driver, just picking himself in the middle of this fight to approach lap 96 and slowly get closer to 35 laps to go. And let's mention, Francisco, how many non-playoff drivers we've seen at the front of the field. Now, at this stage, it's starting to get rather sparse. The only guy in this group is Colin Forster, but early in this race, we had Eric Schaefer, Adam Alishire. We had many non-playoff guys fight up front with these championship favorites. How much of an impact is that making on these guys who are so focused on the title, laser focused in fact? And then here's Colin Forster just having some fun, running hard, running clean of course, but probably throwing a wrench into these guys' strategy.
He's been the one consistently up there, so I think these guys are kind of accepting the fact that he's going to be there. But it doesn't make it better. They would rather him not be there battling them for position when they're trying to make inroads on the driver of the 12 car. So it doesn't help, but he's not exactly hurting their cause, because the 12 appeal has absolutely been on a big run on this sequence of green flag, as he's now pulled up to about 6 seconds on Brandon Banks. So a huge lead for the 12. That's not exactly at the cause of the 99.
And Forster has been doing his best to get into the top 3, and he had the lead earlier in tonight's event. But so far, this is all about Lawson Peel as we approach what is at the moment 21 laps in the stint for your top 2, both of them for Drinkin' Bros Racing. That time a little even between the 12 and the 54, both of them in the 33.7, 33.8 bracket as they run laps here around Homestead-Miami. But as Lawson Peel looks at the final 35 laps of this race, he can see clean air in front of him. He doesn't see many lap cars either, so he just needs a clean run, minimal yellows, if not no yellows at all, and just a perfect run all the way to what could be his 2nd straight championship. And think of this as well, Francisco. If he wins tonight's race, that will be 8 wins of the season. That will be 1 more than last year, which docked in at 7 wins. He got that 7th win in the last race at Texas Motor Speedway. If he closes this off tonight, it would be the most wins we've seen out of any driver in 4-wide Cup history. It will be a new record for the 12, and he will be the first ever driver to go 2 in a row in championships. That's a huge accomplishment, and Peel, in the very short amount of time that he was in this series, he's made a lot of progress, and he has put himself in the ranks of 4-wide all-time greats.
So breaking a record for wins and getting a 2nd straight championship is on the books for the 12 car. I think that sounds like a certain Formula 1 driver. That goes to show just how dominant he's been.
Yeah, it shows you just how good Peel has gone through this season, and also the different types of tracks he's been able to win at, whether it's 1.5 milers, you look at Michigan, big 2-mile oval, Watkins Glen, a road course, and think about the other wins that he could have also had as well, had things not been stripped away from him. Charlotte Roval was a great race for him until halfway when he wrecked going into turn 1 on the restart. You look at some of the other races, Phoenix, where he ran well and could have had a shot at the way that things didn't go awry for him late. Many situations where if you switch the scenario to the benefit of driver of the 12, he probably would have had maybe 10 or more wins, put up a Kyle Larson type season here in 2023. Here's his teammate, Brandon Banks, about 6.5 seconds off. They're getting around the lap car, Jesse Prees. And as a note, we currently have 14 cars on the lead lap. So things have slowly dwindled down as strategy has moved into the forefront of the conversation. We look back at Craig Loudenslager as he's rolled into 5th, and Kyle Benson, Francisco, has been on the back foot, has dropped to 6th, and his tires are not liking it at all.
We talked earlier in the race about the difference that the sun and the darkness will have, and Kyle Benson's a great example of this. He was really good when the sun was out, Kenneth. As the fallen and the lights have flickered on the racetrack, he has struggled, just absolutely sliding, has no grip in that race car. Well, it was once one of the best cars here, has now turned into the 5th best car of the championship 5 as he strikes the outside wall once again. But you see right there, he has a huge gap back to AJ Green, so he shouldn't lose any more actual positions, but certainly not looking his way as he's about 10 seconds off your race leader.
Do you reckon that Kyle Benson is more of a short run car in this race? And if so, how can he change his driving style or approach to this race to be able to gain a little more speed long run?
I think it's a little too late to change it right now. I think you have what you have at this point because there's still a pit stop to go. Even if the yellow flag were to come out now, it's a semi-long run. We saw him be successful in the first run, which was about 25 or 30 laps. So he has what he has at this point, but I think it was more about the conditions that the racetrack was in earlier in the race. We had more sunlight, more track temperature, and I think that benefited his car, the way he drove it then versus now when the track has gotten cooler.
So here's the battle for position. 16th, Curtis Kelly, Cody Kinsey in this battle on the front straightaway. It looks like 71 of Kelly was able to get that lap, although he fell a lap down. Actually, we do have word. Kyle Benson is on pit road. So an early stop here by the 10, undercutting with under 30 laps to go.
Looks like this is going to be a huge strategy call, Kenneth, and this comes from the desperation. We talked about at some point someone's going to make desperation moves. He was 10 seconds behind your leader. Everybody can pit and make it, but this is an absolute hammer to try and throw something out there to make something happen, to try something different. He does not want to follow Lawson Peel off into the darkness and just follow him.
And that's a really interesting strategy for Benson because he came in pit road 32 laps on his set of tires. Obviously, he was probably not going to make 45 with the way that car was sideways. He was just more inclined to go for the safer option and have a more stable race car to get him to the end of tonight's race. But he's got to do something alternatively, and it could help if a caution comes out at around this moment. He's going to have to come in a sweet spot because then everybody else can come in. The difference on tires isn't that big. Kyle Benson has clean air, but so far no yellows have been thrown since that first one where it involved the 48 of AJ Green. We've gone clean from here on out. The 12 of Peel moves the outside in 3 and 4. That's the Skybox Chevrolet of Kevin D'Elia as he comes in from the 12th starting spot.
And it is important to note, Kenneth, with these green flag pit stops, all season long, what have we noticed? Cold tires are an issue. So for guys coming down pit road, it is still important to remember that when you exit pit road, the tires will be cold, and it is prone to causing some potential spins, and that's where cautions can happen. So as green flag pit stops are going on, you have to be aware for it.
And if you're any one of those championship drivers, how far are you willing to undercut? Now that you saw Benson come in on his set of tires, if you're Loudenslager, if you're Jaden Porter, maybe even if you're Brandon Banks, how far alternatively are you willing to go to beat Lawson Peel?
I think that they have to hope for a caution. It's tough
here comes
to say
Loudenslager.
that there's Loudenslager. He's going to peel in now, Kenneth, and gets very loose on the entry, very aggressive. Might have been speeding there. We'll only know here in a couple of laps if he comes back down as Porter went into the pit lane as well, Kenneth. I think that the lead that the 12 car has is just too big to try any sort of strategy like this and make it work. I think at this point they need a caution flag in order to be able to make it work. It's just too big of a gap.
Well, they're going to try anyway. Here's the 13 lifting up the right side tires on the car. Now the left side's going up. Jaden Porter right in front of him, already out of the pit lane, so a big pit stop by the 28 car. He's going to join in a lap down just inside the top 10, and now it's all on the guys in the front to try and make their way on a pit road. The gap is at a staggering 10.3 seconds between Lawson Peel holding on to the lead of this race and Colin Forrester in second. Here's Brandon Banks, the second to last championship driver to make a pit stop.
And I reckon that the 28 of Porter took right sides on his pit stop because he came out a lot quicker. And there you see Banks also doing right sides.
Yeah, that's 9 seconds for Jaden Porter, 9.2 for the 28, 9.6 for Banks. So those are right sides only. Here's your race leader. As Colin Forster stays out on track, he will take the race lead, but that's not the biggest concern for the driver of the 12. And Peel will come in. Really smooth entrance into his pit stall. He's going to be looking for the right sides. We'll see if he also takes 2. But I reckon, Francisco, with the lead he has, 4 is a comfortable call, too.
It is the comfortable call. You'll have the better tires, of course. So if they do make the actual physical pass on you, then you should be able to get right back by them. So Peel now on the access road. There's Austin Reedy, who's a lapped car. But if we look at the 54 Banks, there's Porter. Peel's all the way down there in turn 2. So they gain time, Kenneth, but of course with only right sides, they're not going to make much ground now that the pit stops are complete. So look for the 12 car to start pulling away once again. But of course, remember, the green flag cycle of pit stops is not fully completed. Everyone has to stop again, but it has not been completed, as I believe Porter went to the inside of Banks to try and battle for that second place. But that's huge for those two. Why? It gives them track position on Loudenslager and Benson. And if a caution were to come out, they'll be right behind the 12 going into pit road. And that can be a very huge part of the mental game if that were to happen.
And also on the difference of tires, you can think about that as well, because Lawson Peel only has 1 lap fresher tires than these guys. Yes, Porter and Banks took 2, but even then, the difference in those fresh tires isn't as large as it could be. So the fact that they pitted nearly around the same time means that they could even out in some cases. And if Peel is a little too over-aggressive on his set of tires, could allow Porter and Banks to close in. Caution flags also could play a big role in this as well, whether these guys come in, and also the difference of tire strength is also going to be not that big. So there's no huge discrepancy other than just the 12's raw pace. And you're right, the cycle fully hasn't closed out because Colin Forster still holding on to the lead of this race. He has not come down pit road yet, although he's coming out of turn 2 now. AJ Green and Austin Reedy have fouled out the rest of the top 3. They also have not pitted. How about Austin Reedy, the 96? You'd expect him to be a powerhouse hitter at a track like Homestead-Miami, but he's had a pretty rough one tonight.
He's had a rough one, but there you see the 12 behind him. This is a pass for position. Lawson Peel has to pass to the 96 for a third, and looks like Gillis having an issue on the inside of the racetrack. Looks like came off the pit road and had an issue on the access road. Was able to keep it straight, so no caution flag there. He's able to get going. We'll get a replay to see exactly what happened, but there you see the access road just gets a little bit too far wide, goes into the grass and slides. And this could have been costly, Kenneth. He was able to fortunately save it, but these race cars, we both know that, Kenneth, that with these floor designs, the car gets a little bit sideways and it can completely go around. And if it went around right there, it would have been a huge issue.
Yeah, it definitely would have been. When you get that grass, that car is as slippery as ice. You can easily go around. Fortunately, though, Gillis does not. There's AJ Green tagging the outside wall. He's about 9.7 seconds off of the 99 car, Colin Forster. These two teammates at Stonks Motorsports. And still, the 99 has yet to come in. So on his 41st lap, Colin Forster is going to stay out. Now we'll eye in on the call from AJ Green. Looks like the 48 also going to take the high side in 3 and 4. So he's also staying out another lap. I believe, Francisco, these two are just hoping for a caution. There's no way that they're going to stay out this long and not be hoping for a yellow at some point.
That is definitely the strategy, because they're hoping to win the race, of course, so they don't want to follow Peel. They're hoping to stay out, try something different. They have nothing to lose, so they may as well do so, and if they get that caution, it works out for them. They get the track position, they can battle for the win. They have fast cars, so they're more than capable of doing so, so we'll see what happens there. Porter now getting past the 96 of Austin Reedy. There you see teammate of Porter's, the 20 of Rodney Roberts, who's a lap down at the moment as they run through. And Colin Forster, Kenneth, unlike last week where we saw Banks stretch it many laps, I don't think anybody who has not pitted can stretch it to the end of the race. They're about 15 laps short or so, 10 to 15 laps short. Contact! Oh, rack in the front straightaway. Brandon Banks goes spinning to the inside. He hits the inside wall. Is there going to be a caution?
I don't believe so. Race control has not thrown it with 17 laps to go. Austin Reedy and Brandon Banks make contact. No yellow at lap 118.
That was a close call, Kenneth. We held our breaths as that happened. It just went off our screen when we first saw it. So here you see Banks, this is for position. Like I mentioned, these passes are for position. It looks like Reedy gets loose.
There it is.
And caution is out.
Caution flag is out. Here from Homestead-Miami, Brandon Banks is on pit road. And we are not sure whether he was the exact cause of the yellow or not, but race control has thrown it regardless. Colin Forster has the lead as the field is frozen. It looks like Eric Schaefer, driver for Drinkin' Bros Racing, with a problem.
This changes everything, Kenneth. We were almost in a 100-lap green flag run. Lawson Peel with a huge lead with the tire advantage, with the 4 fresh tires, was looking to pull away and get a second championship in a row. But it's his teammate once again with issues, and look at that, Kenneth. Just absolutely goes around on him in the seams right there off of turn 2. We talked about it. That's a problem spot. Those seams, you can really upset the race car if you make any abrasive moves there, and it's going to cost him in the end. And guess what? This works out for Colin Forster and everybody who stayed out there on the racetrack during that strategy. So good job for the 99 on not following everybody else and doing something different, because that caution worked out for him. Same deal for AJ Green, but that is not what the 12 car wanted to see at all. And now what's going to be important, Kenneth, is pit stops. We know that the 12 car took 4 tires under green flag. Does he take 2 now? Does everybody take 4? We'll have to see.
Well, here comes Forrester. He's got a couple of seconds over AJ Green. He's going to come in right behind him. Lawson Peel, there he is, driver of the 12, coming in. So is Jaden Porter, so he might look to close off 4-tire call. There's Kyle Benson further behind. Curtis Kelly also coming in. And this is a great call for Stonks Motorsports. Happened right at the perfect moment for them to get fresh Goodyear Eagles and try and win this race. And for Lawson Peel, what makes things even worse is that the caution came from a teammate. It was an almost caution from another teammate, but the official caution came from a teammate in the 3 of Eric Schaefer. So the 12 car looks like he's going to lift up the right sides. Looks like he may elect 4 tires, but it's all a matter of time. Forster's going to come out first, but that's not the concern for Peel. He's got the extra set on the left. AJ Green comes out. So does Kyle Benson. Benson with a 2-tire call to the championship lead.
An incredible move to give him the track position, Kenneth. After struggling in that last run, he makes the strategy call to give him the track position. It's going to be about 10 laps to go, so he doesn't need much laps. All he has to do is make it work. We'll see how this works out for him. Brandon Banks, of course, did have the fast repair, so of course he probably used it here to give himself his best shot, but he won't have the track position for this restart. Craig Loudenslager's on pit road now. And the good news for most of those title guys is that with the caution coming out when it did, there was very few cars on the lead lap, which means a lot of the guys that stayed out here are wave around. So they get to restart with good track position and have tires, so it's going to be a fair shootout here.
This is going to be intense, as Kyle Benson and company are going to have a shot at the front of the field. Again, Colin Forrester and AJ Green, while they're running for the win here tonight, it does not matter whether they win or not. It's going to affect, obviously, the momentum for these 2 drivers. It's going to affect the wins list of Season 5, but it's not going to directly affect the championship. Kyle Benson just has to finish in front of the other Championship 5 drivers, and that's good enough. It doesn't matter whether you win or not. And last season, we saw the winner of the race end up the champion. Tonight, we may see a different story with the strategy that Stonks Motorsports has pulled out. What an unbelievable set of circumstances, Francisco. And what I want to notice as well, Kyle Benson, he's one of the best short-run cars in this field. So you put him in a situation where he's got fresh tires, a little over 10 laps to go, he's probably going to rip this Chevrolet Camaro all the way to the very end.
What is my concern, though, with this 10 car, Kenneth, is that the left sides of his race car were taken about 20 laps ago. Remember, he short pitted by a sizable margin to take the 4 tires under the green flag, so those left sides have some considerable age on them. While they are the left side tires, it still plays a role into the handling of the race car. And like you mentioned, with those 2 in front of him staying out, how does this affect his restart compared to Lawson Peel? You know what I think? The fact that the 10 car gets to restart behind the race leader instead of the 12 car, that's probably the biggest factor here. Because remember, the 99 will control this restart. So 10 should have a better launch than both the 48 and the 12, which should give him an upper edge. And even for the 28, for that matter, being back in that 3rd row. So Lawson Peel is in a bad spot here, because even if he does get a good launch, he's going to be restricted by AJ Green. And not by AJ Green's fault. It's just the 99 decides when they go.
Yeah, well, it's going to be wild. Lawson Peel's going to have to hope that the 48 stops on the right pedal as much as possible. And this is going to be fun. Restart. Inside 15 laps to go from Homestead-Miami. Your leader is Colin Forrester. AJ Green, his teammate on the outside of row 1. The fight for the championship lead resides between Kyle Benson and Lawson Peel, but they've got Jaden Porter behind. Curtis Kelly with his great run so far tonight. He's P6. Craig Loudenslager is 7th. Adam Alashar is 8th. Christopher Bishop is 9th. CJ Munier rounding out the rest of the top 10. Brandon Banks with the damage he suffered on that almost caution with Austin Reedy. It looks like that might take him out of the championship fight for good. He is in 18th, 1 lap down. There's a look off the iRacing official pace truck, and I'm sure if you're that pace truck driver, you're probably with your heart beating out of your chest because you are going to lead this field to a pivotal championship restart.
I think I'm glad I'm up here in the booth, Kenneth. I would not want to be down there. I've been in that position before, whether I'm in Colin Forster's shoes, Lawson Peel's shoes. I've been in multiple positions in this kind of deal, and no matter which position you're in, it's definitely stressful, but for different reasons. Colin Forster wants to win the race. That's all he cares about. So does AJ Green. Kyle Benson, alternative strategy. He's hoping to make it work. Lawson Peel dominated the second half of this race. That caution comes out, throws a wrench into his plans. Now he has to go out there and take it again. Everybody else has new life. And look how many cars are stacked on that inside lane. That's why we added a lap onto the restart, Kenneth, because look how many wave around cars. They hadn't caught up to the field yet. The admins added a lap onto this caution flag, so it is going to be a 10-lap, 15-mile shootout to determine a champion. And it would not surprise me if we see that iRacing pace truck once again.
We might end up in a green-white checkered scenario, but for now, we've got a restart with 10 laps to go. From Homestead, Florida, Stonks Motorsports has inside and outside control of this restart. Will this be the championship decider? We'll find out. Green flag in the air. Great run by Forster. Into turn 1. Bishop is around. Caution flag waves immediately after the restart.
And no major position change up at the front despite that. So it looks like most of your top 5 or 6 should stay exactly the same as it was for the restart. Bishop, it looks like got caught up in the stack up. A lot of guys in the back of the field there try to time the restart. They know that there's a huge line and you can go to the outside and make passes. And I think someone got caught up in that, and that's what resulted in the 42 going wrong. I'm going to look at it here once again on the replay. And it looks like someone, and I don't know who, tried to go to the outside of Christopher Bishop, and that's what resulted in him getting hit from behind and getting turned around in the middle of the field. And that's very normal, Kenneth. You have a lot of cars lined up single file on the inside for a restart like this. Guys in the back, they try to time the restart to make passes. So now that we have a visual on it, there's the 42, and watch. Cars behind are probably trying to time it and go and make a pass or something. So there we see now, and actually no, looks like exactly, that's what I was going to say, no contact whatsoever. So we'll go on board with him now. Restarts in second gear, and remember, 5 gears on these race cars, so it could have been from second to third or third or fourth. We're going to look at it here now with Christopher Bishop. There's the restart zone. There's the acceleration as he's going up. There's third gear, and no, he goes to first. Looks like he went down to first gear, Kenneth, instead of going up to third. And I don't know if Bishop has one of those H pattern shifters, which we know guys love to use, but that's normally something you see out of those exclusively.
Yeah, you usually never see misshifts on next-gen cars just because it's a sequential gearbox. It's a little harder to just kick up the revs like that, but Christopher Bishop, with a little mistake, it costs him a lot of spots, put some damage on that Chevrolet Camaro, sponsored by Bullfrog, and we are under caution again with 8 laps to go. Lights are on, still the iRacing official pace truck, and so it gives a little more time for these championship drivers to decide their plan. Francisco Bacalhau, and we bring up the ultimate question: what are you willing to do for a championship? I think we've seen it all as broadcasters in the booth. We've seen last lap bumps out of the way. We've seen crashes. We've seen everything. We've seen domination. We've seen so many things. And now with these drivers on the table, Kyle Benson, Lawson Peel, Jaden Porter, Craig Loudenslager, it's all up to them to put this championship run to a championship deciding close in the last couple of laps. What are you willing to do if you're any one of these guys?
I'm willing to not eat Wawa for the rest of the year. There, I said it.
Oh,
but
man.
no, in a more serious way, this is definitely starting to mount the pressure mentally on these guys, because you're ready. You get that caution. You're ready to go again. You make your strategy. You think, okay, I got 10 laps to try and do this. And before you even get to turn 1, the yellow flag comes out. So that gives you a quick rush just to get you a low again, and you have to go through the yellow flag procedure again. It just keeps you there sitting, just thinking and thinking and thinking, and that's probably not a good thing. You don't want to think too much in this situation. You just want to go out there and drive the race car, because that's what these guys do. They just go out there and drive. And there you see, I think the lights are out on the pace car, or no, they're not. They're still on. So we should get the 1 to green this time, which will put us at 5 laps to go in this race, Kenneth. And I think the less amount of laps in this race, the more it favors the unpredictability factor, if you will. I think Benson will relish that, absolutely. And I think if you're Porter or Loudenslager, I'm not sure how much you want to press up on those two. There is the strategy of let them race each other, and you might get lucky like we saw last week where Benson got caught up in an incident that wasn't his fault, but that's what the 54 was able to play. He let the 10 go, and he was lucky in being able to let that happen because it got himself the win that got him here today. Of course, he's a lap down right now, so it doesn't look like he will be in contention for this title, but that's the mindset. You let them go, and they deal with it, and if luck falls your way, there you are.
Yeah, sometimes it's always better to let them tell you what's up and then deal with that situation as it comes through. And there's still time left. We're going to have a restart with 5 laps to go, so it's not like you have to immediately make the move. You got to put yourself in that position 150%, but you don't immediately have to strike, which is going to be different if we end up in a green-white checkered scenario. Now, that's still in the cards, but we do know that cautions do breed cautions. We might end up there with the championship to be decided by at least 2 laps or less. We're going to restart this thing with 5 laps left. Colin Forrester and AJ Green, still the first 2 in row number 1. Kyle Benson, Lawson Peel. No changes between these drivers in the field, or for most of the drivers in the field, as a matter of fact. Jaden Porter is 5th. Craig Loudenslager on the outside in 6th. Curtis Kelly, Rodney Roberts, Adam Alashire, and Michael Newbraw to close out the rest of your current top 10. So here we go. Restart inside 5 to go. Kyle Benson looking for his first 4-wide cup championship. Lawson Peel looking for his 2nd straight. And everyone else also looking for their first ever championship. Pace truck is down. And it's all on the Chevrolet Camaro, sponsored by Martini Racing, of Colin Forrester to get on the gas pedal first. We're back under green from Homestead with 5 laps to go.
And AJ Green didn't get a great launch. Forrester does get clear, but look, the 12 is trying to push him. Get him in front of the 10 car so he can do battle, and they're side by side now. Peel on the outside of Benson. They're 3 wide for 2nd. Benson trying to get ahead on the bottom, and he does. He stays ahead of Peel. Porter looks to the outside of Peel. They're wrecking off of turn 2, and I believe the caution flag is going to wave again.
Caution flag is out. Christopher Bishop in trouble again. Him and Kevin D'Elia.
And oh my gosh, this keeps ratcheting up the intensity. We were able to get a little bit more there, but this will put us into overtime, Kenneth, without a doubt. And I believe it's the first time in several seasons that this series has seen overtime. I don't think we've ever had an overtime finish for the championship race, so that's going to be new. And there you see the contact with Michael Newbraw from the 53 of D'Elia. Bishop had nowhere to go, gets collected in it. But we definitely need a second look at that restart and see what was going on at the front of the field once we get a look here. As you're on board, getting a second look at it. It looks like he's going to get loose right up here after contact, and the 53 just has nowhere to go, gets into him, and then Bishop was just an innocent bystander and gets collected in that after being involved in the last yellow. But now we saw what happened there, Kenneth. Let's look at what happened in the front. The leader, the 99, he goes exactly when he has to, does a good job. Peel pushing the 48 of AJ Green, trying to stand a chance against Benson, sees the gap, immediately goes through the middle, trying to do something. But right there, that's actually a bad spot to be in because you don't have grip. That's actually the worst spot on the racetrack. Benson, I'm not sure if he was 2nd at the time the caution came out, Kenneth, but he might have been. So,
yeah.
And he is. There he is up into P2. That's going to be crucial. And to explain why, Forrester is the leader still. He got a good restart and he was still the leader. But now Benson gets to restart on the front row and right in front of the 12 of Lawson Peel instead of directly beside him. So I think if you're Kyle Benson, you have to protect your inside going into 1 and 2. You have to protect against the 12 car. You'll have him in your mirror. And Jaden Porter is now in 5th with Craig Loudenslager in 6th. So if you didn't think it was going to be intense after those last 2 restarts, get ready for some overtime action to decide the championship.
Oh yeah, we are inside 3 laps to go. This will be our first attempt at a green-white checkered here at Homestead-Miami. We'll explain the rules for you as follows. So in green-white checkered format, we do go green with 2 laps to go. So similar to any other restart we've had tonight, we'll try and end that race under green. If a caution comes out before the leader gets to the white flag, then we will restack them up and do it all over again. We have 3 attempts to finish the race under green. If the leader does get to the white flag, then this race is going to be official no matter what. They are going to run it all the way to the line no matter what happens, and we will decide a champion. And the last option, which is the one that we hope is not going to happen here tonight, is that if we exhaust all 3 green-white checkered attempts, then the leader at the timing of the last caution on the last attempt will be scored the winner. Again, Colin Forrester is just looking for some bragging rights at the end of Season 5 to move forward to September. Same deal goes for AJ Green. Those 2 at Stonks Motorsports are not the focus for the championship. Those highlighted in green, those banners that you see on those cars, that's the fight we're looking for. Kyle Benson has the outside view of row number 1 on this restart, and then he's got playoff drivers behind him. Lawson Peel, Craig Loudenslager, row 2 and row 3. Jaden Porter is the only Championship 5 driver lining up the inside of any one of the rows in the top 6. So that's going to be really interesting to watch and to see how aggressive Porter's going to be on the restart if he gets a good jump, pushing that number 48. Now, the concern, Francisco, of the 10 is that he doesn't time this restart with the 99. And the worst thing for him is that Stonks Motorsports is hooked up together. So if they end up counting down each other on the restart, they could clear themselves before turn 1, and then all of a sudden you're looking at Benson not only having to deal with Peel behind him, but Jaden Porter on the inside.
Yes, but either way, if that happens, it's just not a good spot to be in if you're the 12 of Lawson Peel. You have to think about 20 minutes ago, he was leading this race, pulling away and thinking everything was going great, but then that caution came out with about 15 to go, and it turned everything on its head, and now he finds himself in the 4th spot, 3rd in the championship, and he's boxed in. He has car left, car behind, car in front as far as championship contenders. You see them all around him in those green banners. If the 10 doesn't go, that's going to open up the door for the 28 on the inside. Even if Benson does go, he'll be boxed in by the 48. All he can do is go up to the outside, which will open the door for Loudenslager to go through the middle. So honestly, Peel's not in a great spot as far as vulnerability, but he can still get something done here. All you need is 2 clean laps, which is easier said than done. All you need is 2 clean laps and hope that you have a car that can get to the finish line. It doesn't matter how it gets there, it just needs to get there, and that's what matters here in these final 3 miles of racing. But Kenneth, I don't know if this will be the last overtime attempt, but we'll try it anyways. Colin Forrester, again, trying to win a race. He is not in the championship battle. He wants to win for himself, for his team. Benson, the 12 of Peel, the 28 of Porter, the 13 of Loudenslager, all they have to do is be the highest finisher of those green banners, and that's your champion.
Well, here we go. First attempt at 3, and an overtime restart. Colin Forrester, Kyle Benson are the first 2 to see the green flag. 2 laps to go from Homestead-Miami. Stonks Motorsports has a fantastic restart. Jaden Porter on the inside of Benson for the championship. Lead with 3 wide.
3 wide, Peel's in the middle. The 48 of green is going to be right in front of Porter. Benson gets there on the high side. He's on the wall. He's into the outside wall. They stay 3 wide.
Here they go into turn 3. Curtis Kelly with monumental help on the back bumper of the 28. Still 3 wide for the lead in the championship. Peel falls back. He's into Benson. Final lap from Homestead. And Colin Forrester sees the white flag.
Jaden Porter goes to the championship lead. It's Peel and Benson battling Loudenslager. That's for 2nd place in your championship standings. There's the 99 of Forrester. He leads the 48 of AJ Green. That's the battle for the win. There's Lawson Peel. He's now found himself behind the 48. There's a crash in the back of the field. There's Jaden Porter. There's Lawson Peel going into the final corner. What does Lawson Peel have? Looks like Porter's going to try to make the move for 2nd. Off of turn 4, it's going to be Colin Forrester winning the race, but Jaden Porter gets his first 4-wide Racing Cup Series championship.
In his first full-time season, Jaden Porter knocks the field out and wins his first ever 4-wide Cup Series championship. Lawson Peel, a heartbreaking 2nd place finish in the championship 5, but he sends a congratulations to the sophomore regardless. Colin Forrester for Stonks Motorsports completes a Team 1-2 finish. But Jaden Porter, last season, winner at Nashville in the middle of the playoffs. We said he would probably be a force to be reckoned with if he ended up full-time, and he did. Winner at Dover earlier this season to lock him into the playoffs. Winner at Charlotte to get him into this very round. And for the first time ever, Jaden Porter is a 4-wide Racing Cup Series champion.
unreal, Kenneth. All season, we've talked about how important it is to have the teammates, how big of a factor it is in this series. And Jaden Porter, the sole representative from Bacalhau Bueno Racing in the playoffs, has gotten it done. And there you see the respect from everybody in what it means to him. His first full season, he was part-time in season 4, got a win in Nashville, and he goes into this season after an early struggle, got a couple of wins, won Charlotte off that amazing strategy, and he played his cards right there on that restart. When we get the opportunity, we'll look back at that restart once again to get a well-summarized look of it. But Jaden Porter, Kenneth, this has to be huge for him. We talked to him before the race. He felt like Lawson was going to be the one to beat. And to be able to hold off Lawson there on that green-white checkered, after restarting in the 5th position, mind you, he restarted in 5th, made the 3-wide pass on the inside, and absolutely went by both of them in order to win the championship. You know he's going to love that one.
Oh, there's AJ Green. Celebrations
And there's
with
his
Colin
teammate.
Forrester. The teammate Rodney Roberts and Jaden Porter has sent that car to victory lane. The engine went poof, but nonetheless, he's going to be happy as always. Jaden Porter with his first ever title. And going into this race, Jaden Porter looked like the full underdog. In this Championship 5, it was his first appearance in a championship round in this series. He has some of the least career wins out of all the drivers he went up against, especially guys like Lawson Peel, who leads them all in all-time wins. But Jaden Porter makes the most of this last restart with 2 laps to go to win the championship. Here's a look at the run to turn 1 for the first time on the restart. And watch that purple and black 28. Great restart in Francisco. I talked about it. Benson was going to struggle on the jump if the 48 and the 99 worked cohesively, and they did. Porter had the run on the inside, and the shortest way around the track usually always is the best. Off of the restart, Kyle Benson runs the top, but he nabs the outside wall, and I thought he was going to go into Lawson Peel there. And I want to mention this as well. Curtis Kelly, if he didn't give the 28 that help, we probably would have not seen Jaden Porter make this move as Peel slides up the track, and that's all she wrote.
Peel did have a big moment there in the turn 3, and it bought him enough time for the 28, because look at what position Peel's in going into the white flag. Somehow finds his way behind him. I don't know how he got there, but he did, and he was able to pose a threat there in the closing stages as Loudenslager, Benson making contact. We'll see what happens back here. Looks like Benson into the back of Loudenslager. Benson gets loose, makes contact with Rodney Roberts. They spin down the racetrack, so that's what happened back there. Benson sliding back up, and that was the end of it for him. But right here, this is the moment where Jaden Porter's thinking championship as he gets out of turn 4 and sees the 12 car behind him. He knew it was P3, but it was enough.
Jaden Porter wins his first ever 4-wide Racing Cup Series championship, and we will have ourselves a moment to relax as Colin Forrester wins this race, and we'll give you the full unofficial results from Homestead-Miami. Colin Forrester, AJ Green complete a Stonks Motorsports 1-2 off of a strategy that worked after a caution came out late in the race. Jaden Porter does not win the race, but it does not matter. He finishes ahead of the rest of the Championship 5. He wins the title in Season 5. Lawson Peel, and the number 12 is behind Jaden Porter in 4th, 2nd in the championship standings. Curtis Kelly rounds out the rest of the top 5. First non-playoff driver inside the top 10. Highest running one, in fact. Craig Loudenslager ends up 3rd in the championship fight to finish 6th. Adam Alshire, pretty good run, closes up with a top 10 place finish. CJ Munier comes out of nowhere for 8th place. Lance Hill in 9th, and Jesse Priest to round out the top 10.
And looking at the rest of the field, there you see league owner Tyler Murray finishes in the 11th spot. Kevin D'Elia down in 12th. Michael Newbrawl will finish in the 13th position. And Brandon Banks, who was a lap down going into one of those late cautions, finishes in 14th. Unfortunately, not the championship he was looking for. Timothy Cook with the 15th place finish. Christopher Bishop, after those late incidents, will finish 16th. Cody Kinsey will finish in 17th. Rodney Roberts, your teammate of the champion, will finish in 18th. Kyle Benson, a heartbreaker there, being involved in that wreck on the final lap, will finish 19th. And last of your championship contenders, Eric Schaefer finishes in 20th, 3 laps down. Brandon Gillis, 21st. Austin Reedy will finish in the 22nd spot with Jason Hastings 23rd. And Tyler Warner rounds out your field after leaving the race about the halfway stage of this race. And Wow, Kenneth, I think we could use a moment to catch our breath and get everybody ready here for the post-race show.
We are. Our post-race coverage on the other side, but stay tuned on MaxSpeedTV. Championship 5 coverage is not over yet as Jaden Porter wins his first ever title in the 4-Wide Racing Cup Series from Homestead.
Who wins the race? Kerwin!
It is Demi Olat, the sophomore.
I give it all that I got.
Wanted the best, you got him for a rest. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws. Dirt Racing will be available September 27th. Pre-order your copy today.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Here at Homestead-Miami Speedway, just decided a 4-Wide Cup Series champion for Season 5. It's Jaden Porter, driver of the number 28 machine. And we are closing off what was an absolutely amazing race here in South Florida as Colin Forster grabs away a win as well. We'll talk to the drivers that finished in this race first. As of the non-playoff group, we're going to talk to them. We'll talk to the Championship 5 drivers. After this, we'll first of all bring in the driver of the number 99, Colin Forster. And Colin, it looked like all race long you had a mission, regardless of whether you were running the championship or not. You were going to go for this win, and you and AJ Green close off a Stonks Motorsports 1-2. What does it mean for you to win this race in the last event of the season?
Man, it definitely means a lot. Obviously wish I was in the Championship 5 looking at it, but hey, win's a win at the end of the day, and we're going to move forward next season, the Xfinity cars, and we're going to give our best shot. Not my greatest car, barely even run them, but definitely going to miss this car, but I mean, Xfinity cars are fun. Got a lot of horsepower, a little downforce, so it's going to be fun, and we're going to see how it goes.
Certainly is going to be a lot of fun, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit, but give us your perspective, not only yours, but AJ Green's, you and Stonks Motorsports. You were staying out on green flag strategy. Caution comes out. You guys can get fresh tires. What was the reaction like for you guys, and what was the plan there moving after that caution to hold on, stay up front for the win?
Well, I mean, at first I thought the Brandon and Reedy incident there, I thought that was going to be a caution, and then there wasn't a caution. I was like, oh, I thought the strategy was about to work, and then 30 seconds later, this caution comes out. I don't know what happened there, but Man, I honestly didn't think the caution was going to come out. I had like, I think 5 laps of fuel left, so I got really lucky with the timing there. And then I was fast on the short run all night. I was definitely better in the daytime overall, but I was still fast on the short run. And luckily we had a short run, and I was just able to bring it home there.
And talk about the way you were racing the field of the championship this evening. I mean, I know it must have been pretty hard to fight those guys and just try to stay as clean as possible, but I mean, to be able to get that win, does the satisfaction feel a little sweeter knowing that you were able to topple some of the championship drivers, get a win tonight from Homestead?
I wouldn't say necessarily sweeter, but I think it was just a fun race overall between everyone in the field. I was racing hard with Lawson there in the beginning. It was a lot of fun. And then he started to pull away because he's God tier at this track. But luckily we got that caution and was able to race. I mean, obviously I still wanted to race championship guys with a lot of respect, but I still wanted to race them hard like I would anyone else. And luckily we stayed clean, and I was just able to pull it there at the end.
Well, a big win here from Homestead-Miami. Now we go on to season number 6, Xfinity Cars, that starts out in September. Again, I mean, you talked about it with the Xfinity car. Your thoughts already on it, but how excited are you for that season? Off of the win tonight, and who do you got to thank for tonight's run from South Florida?
Definitely excited for the Xfinity car. Definitely going to have to put in quite a bit of practice. Like I said, least run car, but I just want to thank you guys for doing the broadcast all season. Go back and look forward to watching this race, and I look forward to next season with you guys. And then shout out to everyone in the league for having me. Tyler, especially, he runs this league, and he's done a great job with everything so far, and I really look forward to next season as well. Shout out to all the boys on Stonks. I know we got a new lineup next year, me, AJ, and Lance, but it's going to be a fun one, and we're going to see. Also, shout out to my dad for watching most of the races whenever he can, and just thank you guys, and I'll see you next season.
And it's going to be exciting seeing you on Stonks Motorsports with the new changes for next season. Colin, on behalf of our entire broadcast team, we thank you so much for bringing us so many memories in Season 5 of this series. Congratulations on the win here from Homestead, your 5th on the campaign, and we'll see you in September.
All right, appreciate it, man.
So Colin Forrester, non-playoff driver, but a winner nonetheless here from Homestead-Miami. We'll talk to second place, Stonks Motorsports teammate AJ Green, otherwise known as the Beef Man, but wearing Dr. Pepper tonight. He's joined alongside Francisco Bacallao.
Well, AJ, we've seen good runs out of you at Mile and a Halves and the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Another one's a great example. Not the win I'm sure you were hoping for, but a great way to finish the season, don't you think?
Oh, 100%. I was trying to maybe annoyed Colin a little bit by stealing his laps led. He didn't count the restart down, so I just had to purely guess it, and I guessed it actually like spot on, but the car was just way too tight on the bottom. I was sending it at that point. I wasn't really braking at all, so it was gonna get tight no matter what. But me and Colin wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for a caution early in the race. We stayed out on a strategy and basically was going to see what happened. If it didn't work out, it didn't work out. But it did, and we came 1-2. Good momentum for the, I guess, 2-month off break back for next season.
Yeah, it was a great run from you, too. Great strategy call. We were mentioning it up in the booth that we knew you guys couldn't make it on fuel, but it was certainly a play to try and go for the win, of course, since you weren't racing those championship drivers, and it worked out in your favor. You were able to get the 1-2 finish. And AJ, kind of talked with us through how the racetrack went through changes as we went from the daylight to the sunset, because that was a huge topic of how the car was handling.
It definitely got, like, I would say it just got more planted. Like, there was just way more grip as it got to night. I don't know about anybody else, but I was just ripping the top the whole race. I didn't like the bottom too well in practice, so I ran the wall, and if it wore my tires a little down, so what? It's where I was comfortable at all race. And as it went night, the top just became way more dominant on long run, and it just, yeah, that's what I used.
Well, of course, AJ, next season, Xfinity cars, a brand new schedule. How do you feel about season 6 in the coming months?
I'm pumped. We announced that it's gonna be Stonks is kind of reformatting drivers. We're gonna switch to Toyota. We've been running Chevy the whole time we've been in 4-wide, and we're gonna add Lance back onto the team. He went over the track house for his season. He's coming back, and Curtis Kelly and Kevin are gonna part ways. So it's gonna be change. I think it's all for the better, and hopefully we can make the championship 5 next season.
A lot of change, a lot of different things coming in. I like the Toyota change, but I think one thing we do want to see is those beef machines back on the racetrack, AJ. Those are some of the best paints every single week.
I got some paints cooking in the warehouse right now, and they're definitely gonna. I'm gonna keep the beef branding, and we ain't going away from that.
I can't wait to see them next season, AJ. Enjoy the off season, a really good second place, and we hope to see you on this stage this time in May in 2024. We wish you luck and congratulations on the P2 finish.
Thank you.
So that is AJ Green, driver of the 48, to close out a Stonks Motorsports 1-2 finish. And now it is time for the moment you've all been waiting for. Jaden Porter, the Season 5 4-Wide Racing Cup Series Championship. Here's league owner Tyler Murray to award the championship.
Well, Jaden Porter, it was a season to remember for you, my friend. You know, when you came into the league last year, about halfway through, you showed power and prowess right off the rip, snatching some wins, running up front every race. This season, 26 starts, you managed 2 poles, 2 wins, 10 top 5s, 21 top 10s, but none of them were more important than the one you got tonight. So on behalf of the admin team, the broadcast booth, and all the fans watching, I'd like to congratulate you personally on becoming the Season 5 champion for 4-Wide Racing.
Thank you very much, man. Means a lot.
It was a heck of a show. Snuck your way in there, and I know you feel like you Mickey Moused it or you Bowmaned it, but you were in the right place at the right time, and you know, it's just an amazing accomplishment after a terrific season.
Yeah, I don't know. I still don't know how I won that, but thanks. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Go ahead and go celebrate.
Thank you.
So, Jaden, let's talk for a minute before you continue your celebrations here at Homestead-Miami. Is there a proper way to put into words your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts after getting this championship in the first of 3 green-white checkered attempts to end this one?
I'm still lost for words. I still don't know what to say about that. For that whole last run, I was kind of giving up. I was like, wow, I just don't have the pace to win this. I'm going to need a caution. But even then, I was like, my short run pace isn't that good. So I'm like, I don't know what's going to help me. Then we got a couple restarts. I messed up the 2 restarts before that. And then that last restart I nailed somehow. And we were 3 wide for a while. And I think Peel got tight or whatever and got into Benson. And that just really gave it to me, really.
I imagine it has to be insane. And you always say, Jaden, and I said this earlier in the show, that you always seem to doubt yourself. You always say, hey, I'm not that good at this, I'm not that good at that, and all of a sudden you prove everybody wrong. And I have to imagine that the way that you've been able to do it, to put a force on the league itself as a driver in his first time, a full season in the 4-Wide Racing Cup Series, I have to imagine that it feels good to be able to close this one out with a championship, and the way that you were able to do it with the win at Dover to lock yourself in, and then the one at Charlotte to get you into this round.
Yeah, it feels good. I'm always kind of like down on myself. I'll say I struggle everywhere and sometimes be better at places. Sometimes helps me, keeps me humble, which is a good thing. I need to stay humble. And yeah, I still don't know. I'm still lost the words on how this one went down.
That has to be insane. I know for Bacalhau Bueno Racing, such a huge accomplishment. The only driver in the field in the playoffs on that team against a sea of DBR guys, Murray Reedy Motorsports, Stonks Motorsports, you name it, all those guys in the playoffs, and you make it happen for your first ever 4-Wide Cup championship. Such an unbelievable accomplishment. Francisco, I'm sure you have words as well for our champion this season.
Yes, I do. Jaden, congratulations on becoming the 2nd driver for us to bring a championship. That's the 3rd championship for the organization, Bacalhau Bueno Racing. We're very excited for what you're able to do for us, getting the championship here at our home racetrack at Homestead-Miami Speedway. And we're very excited to take you out for some local dinner. I'm not sure you've ever heard of this place, but it's called La Carreta. We're going to have a long night there, my friend.
I've never heard of that place, but I'm all for it.
You'll get to know it. You'll get to know it. Don't worry.
Okay.
All right, Jaden.
Congrats.
Well, a big championship here from Homestead-Miami. I'm sure we're a little bit wasting your time. We know you want to get to the celebrations as soon as possible. Before we let you go, is there anyone in particular you want to thank for not only tonight's race from Homestead, but this entire season?
Yeah, first off, I'd like to thank you and Francisco and everyone at Bacchio Bruno Racing. All the support helped me get to this moment. My brother and his friends for watching, my friend Patrick, my friend Mikey, my friend Steven for watching, everyone watching. Just thanks to all of them, and thanks to Tyler for hosting this league. You know, he puts a lot of effort into this league, and I'm glad to have a league owner like him.
Well, Jaden, we know some of the guys in the chat are going absolutely insane. Timothy Diamond Production says, I'm in tears. Good job, little brother. 28 is the champ. Got so many people riding behind you. And Jaden, congratulations on becoming the Season 5 4-Wide Racing Cup Series Championship. Thank you, Tyler, for, of course, sending the presentation off. But Jaden, we'll let you go celebrate. Congrats on being a champion.
All right, thank you, buddy.
So that is Jaden Porter, driver of the 28, who wins this year's 4-Wide Racing Cup Series Championship. He's going to have a long off season of celebration before he gets his mind focused for season number 6. We'll talk to the next driver in the championship docket, the one who fell just short and led the most laps out of anyone in the championship grid. That is the driver of the 12, Lawson Peel. Francisco, you're caught up with him.
Lawson, it's to put it simply, that was definitely a heartbreak there for you. You were leading the race by a decent margin, a really good margin. It was looking all good. Then that late caution comes out. You have several restarts, and you just come up one spot short. Just take us through the whole experience throughout the night and what led to those late race restart.
Yeah, I certainly didn't want to see it. That's for sure. I thought I would have more laps than that to be able to work to get back to the lead. I just didn't have any because we had immediately 2 cautions and then just left you with a green-white checkered. So only had 2 laps to try to get it done, and the middle was the only lane that opened up for me on both of those last 2 restarts, and so I had to just kind of take what was open, and ended up 3 wide with Jaden and Kyle there, going down into 3 with 2 to go, and I just drove down in there way too hard, just slid the tires, had no grip, got up into Kyle a little bit. Curtis got by me, and then when I tried to cross him over, it just got sideways, and I knew at that point it was pretty much over. It was lucky to get back to P4. But you know, they don't all go your way. I'm gonna hold my head high, and I'm happy for Jaden. He deserved that. He's probably the cleanest driver we got out here. So congratulations to you, Kenneth, and Francisco for being the championship winning team owners this year. Y'all got a good driver there. And sorry to show a little favoritism tonight. I know y'all don't do it, but got a lot to be proud of after that one. So congratulations to him.
We appreciate the nice comments there, Lawson. But going back to the race with you, early on, of course, the race started in the sunlight, and we saw you struggling a little bit in the sun. There was a little bit more variety there with who was able to run up in the front. And then in the second half of the race, we really saw you start to flex the muscle. So what was the difference in the car handling for you between when the sun was out and once the night had set in?
I do think going to the nighttime did help me some, but it was a lot of it was just getting comfortable. I took it kind of easy that first run because I didn't know, what a full run on tires was going to look like. It was kind of experimenting, going back and forth between shifting and not shifting, trying to figure out what line was going to work best to save tires, and was still wearing the right rear more than I wanted to. But that second run really found a rhythm and a groove that gave me a pretty comfortable snug feel. So I was able to do a lot better that second green flag run, and then that last one also. I got pretty comfortable there, and didn't really know what to expect as far as how I was going to shake out to the competition, if I was going to be able to kind of walk away like that. So I was happy to do that. I think it was a strong showing, and like I said, I just love this track. Always have. Fortunate to be pretty good here and understand how to drive this track, and this ought to be. I don't know why NASCAR doesn't want to have the championship here. It's just a crying shame. So, best track we got, if you ask me.
I'll second that comment for sure. I know Kenneth will be a third on that one as well. We wish it was still the championship race in real life, but continuing on, Lawson. Of course, next season we're moving to Xfinity cars, a brand new race car we haven't ran in this series yet. How do you feel about your odds going after this offseason moving towards the Xfinity cars for the next season?
So definitely way better in this car than the Xfinity car. They're just so different. The Xfinity car has got just like a numb front end, and it's just the back end just sways. Whereas this car, when we first had this car come out, it was really tight everywhere we went, and then kind of the second half of last year, through the updates and whatever, they kind of made it loose at a lot of the tracks, and now we're kind of back to like a middle, somewhere in the middle. But I can't say that I'm a big fan of this car. I don't really like it, but I'm way better in this car than I was in the Gen 6, and I'm way better than the Xfinity. So I am looking forward to it because it's going to give me a reason and motivation to drive the Xfinity car and get better in it, because I don't run it really at all. I don't run any B class officials. I don't run any other leagues that run the Xfinity car. So my teammates are big fans of it. They try to get me to run it more than I do. I'm not a big fan of the car. So hopefully next year will be, I'll be able to, learn the car better, have fun with it, understand it, and hopefully I want to run it more.
You have a whole off season to prepare for that and relax as well, Lawson. P2 in the championship. A great season once again. Another 7 wins added to your tally, the most in 4-wide racing competition. So with that being said, Lawson, who do you have to give the shout outs to on making another great season in the books possible?
Yeah, thanks to Tyler Murray. Thanks to all my teammates at DBR. Thanks to you guys for doing the broadcast all season. Y'all just really make it a whole lot of fun for us, and y'all just do a great job. All the work y'all put into it with the pre-race show today and that introduction into the broadcast last week is just awesome. So thank you guys. Congratulations again on being the car owners for Jaden, getting the championship this year. Thanks to everybody that watches this on the broadcast. Thanks to everybody else, all the other drivers and competitors out here. And sorry, Francisco, that I forgot to I neglected that that this is also your home track earlier in the pre-race show.
It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry, Lawson. It's all right. Enjoy your off season. Enjoy your break, and we look forward to seeing you back here next season and hopefully in this stage again. Good luck, and sorry for the P2.
All right. See you guys. Appreciate it.
That's Lawson Peel, just short of the championship this season, but you have to imagine 7 wins last season, 7 wins this season. Definitely nothing to complain about despite this championship finish. We'll head over to the third driver in our championship 5 grid, and that is the driver of the 13, Craig Loudenslager. And Craig, just first of all, give us your thoughts on that final restart in green-white checker territory and your perspective of everything that went on behind the wheel.
Well, I knew I was going to have to get a good jump if I wanted to have any shot at it, and that outside line just didn't fire off. I saw the 28 who got a horrible jump on the previous restart. He fired off really good, and I knew I was going to have some sort of run or something, but just got hectic, and then once you send it in too deep up top, you have no grip in the front tires, and just really nothing I could do about it. If I wanted to win that race, I probably needed to get that track position or something, but kind of just did all I could, and was lucky I was even like that close to winning the thing, considering how far back I was.
Well, nonetheless, you were able to pick a lot of things up, and even then, we looked at the first run of this race where you picked up positions and you were slowly getting more comfortable with the car. What did it feel like behind the wheel as the day progressed? Because it felt like, as soon as the sun went down, things changed dramatically with the handling of the cars within the field. Was it such a big change for you, or did it feel a little more like a slight difference that you were able to overcome?
So I practiced a lot with running the high line in 1 and 2, and then cutting it down in 3 and 4. And on the second run, I started really doing that because I was kind of taking Kyle Benson's lead and getting up there. But I don't think that was a play at all. Just burned up my rear somehow. It doesn't make any sense, but that just really hurt me, I think. And then on the next time I got out there, I was just trying to rip the bottom, and I had a lot more luck with that. But it's just I practiced a lot more in the top in 1 and 2, and that was not where the tire saving was. So I think definitely, especially once you got into the night, it was just the bottom only, which the bottom of this track is one of my weakest ways to run any track. So just a lot of the night didn't feel good in the long run at all, and just was lucky that it came down to a green-white checker.
Well, unfortunately, end up short of the championship this season in 2023. But when we come back in September, we'll be at a different car, the NASCAR Xfinity Series machine. You'll be in a different manufacturer, the Ford Mustang that you'll be driving, and you'll be part of a new team, Murray Reedy Motorsports. So talk to us about the excitement of transferring over to those new changes for next season.
Yeah, looking forward to running the Xfinity car, which I did pretty well back when we ran a winter series in 2020 in those cars. And I just feel like a more traditional stock car like the Xfinity car will suit me better, and it'll suit a lot of people in my team better. And so I'm looking forward to really being an official part of Murray Reedy Motorsports and not really an associate member, and making all those guys my permanent teammates in this league. So also looking forward to running that Ford as well, because I think it's the best looking car of the Xfinity cars. So definitely looking forward to next season, and looking forward to having a full length season in the Xfinity car in Fort White.
Well, we certainly appreciate the time, as always, Craig. Unfortunately, it wasn't the championship this season, but we know it was a great run all the way to the end, and we're very excited to see you back in action in September. Before we let you go, is there anybody you'd just like to thank for an outstanding Season 5?
It's just Tyler Murray for everything he does, and everybody who comes out that makes it a fun league to run, and makes it worthwhile. And anyone who races clean, and everybody that was letting the kind of the championship 5 just go out and try to tear each other's heads off. So yeah, I love everybody who comes out and races in this league.
Well, Craig, we certainly appreciate everything that you've done to give us great memories this season. We congratulate you on an outstanding run to the Championship 5 this year, and we wish you the best in this offseason as we move forward to Season 6 with a lot of changes on the horizon. Best of luck, Craig. We hope that you're able to be back in next season's action of the 4 Wide Cup Series, and we'll see you then.
Yeah, I definitely plan to. Thanks.
So that is Craig Loudenslager, driver of the 13, who is 4th in our Championship 5. We'll try and talk to Brandon Banks, driver of the number 54. He's not in the voice channels as it stands, so we're going to either wait a little bit, maybe talk and try and get the driver of the 54 for an interview. We'd love to have some of his thoughts on tonight's finish. I know it wasn't the greatest one for Banks at the end of it, Francisco, but nonetheless, I mean, look back to the way this race went. We really had it all. Some cautions that changed this race pivotally. We saw a new driver go up to the front, win a championship. Obviously, non-playoff drivers playing a factor into it. Strategy played a big role. The track changing. So many different factors that we have to talk about that compiled into a great Homestead-Miami finale.
Yes, this was definitely probably one of the better races we've seen, taking aside of the result, of course. This was a really good race. The progression from the day to night really played a role on the handling on these guys. It really changed the handling, and we saw the race kind of change in terms of who was showing up at the front, who was struggling. We saw that with various of the drivers. So to see how that played a role, to see the strategy that was played by Forster and AJ Green to get the results that they did, and then not to mention the performances we saw. Lawson Peel, despite not winning the championship tonight, he definitely had probably the best car, especially in the second half of the race. He was really starting to pull out, and he had a really big gap there and until that late caution. So you feel for him, you hate for him, but you also have to look at the other side of it and congratulate the driver, Jaden Porter. We talked all week since Phoenix about the experience level of this Championship 5, how they've had multiple appearances, and how Porter this was his first time around and his first time doing so, and he is able to win the championship. So it just goes to show you just have to be in the moment. You have to be there and just be ready to do battle depending on what's in front of you, and be ready to seize your opportunity. And being in that position, it couldn't have been any more obvious to that expression, because he restarted it 5th in line, 3rd of those championship drivers, and he took them 3 wide, was clear off the corner, or not clear off the corner, but got clear going into turn 3, and that's really what allowed him to go out there and get that championship coming to the white flag. So it's been a great season, Kenneth, a great finale to a great season, and I cannot wait to be here again for another season of 4 Wide Racing Cup Series action, or Xfinity Series action now. I have to get used to saying that now, but it's still going to be a great season next time around. You see the schedule there on your screen now. Yeah, a lot of good races, a lot of really good ones to look forward to. And once again, Homestead, the championship site once again on May 1st in 2024. But the main date you want to be looking forward to, those duels. Those duels will be back on September 6th in just under 2 months' time. And that's going to be an exciting time, Kenneth. We'll be at an auto club in California, and we'll be there to cover the duels for the season opener after a 2-month off season. What do you have to say?
Well, certainly I'm excited, especially after Season 5. I mean, every season that we watch of the 4 Wide Racing Cup Series, I get more excited for the next one just because of how good the previous season was. Season 5, the war for it has just closed off, but the war is going to return in September, and that's going to be a lot of fun with many different changes on the horizon, the change to the Xfinity Series cars, drivers going on different teams changing manufacturers, you name it. There's a lot to talk about, and we're going to have those storylines plenty when we get back to the action for the duels at Auto Club Speedway in early September. So that's around just after Labor Day, I believe. And that's going to be a lot of fun when we kick things back off. So we'll have a little bit of an off season. We're going to miss this series for a little while, but when it comes back with full force, we're going to be very hyped to see it return. So an unbelievable night from Homestead-Miami Speedway. And on behalf of our entire team, Francisco, I know you'll give your thoughts before we close things off. What an amazing season, and to close off another year of 4 wide action that we've been having a great partnership with the 4 wide admins, Tyler Murray, everybody at MaxSpeedTV. It's been an unbelievable season, but I mean, over the 2-year journey, now 2.5 years, it's been so blissful to watch these drivers out on track and to cover this series week in and week out.
I think I can speak for both of us when I say that this is probably the most fun we've had covering a series out of the many we've covered in our journey in broadcasting. And to think it started back in the spring of 2021, you invited me out to cover the race in Pocono back in season 2, I believe it was. And from there, it just took off, just genuine interest and getting invested in the series. And much like a fan, really just get to be up here calling the races instead, and participated in some ways and occasionally, and was able to find victory lane myself. But each season, much like you said, it gets fun to watch. It gets more intense, just more entertaining, and it's not artificial. It's very much authentic to have that feeling there. And I can't wait for season 6. These are going to be some of the 2 longest months. This was a really fun time, and I hope to be more in the booth more next season. I had some stuff going on. I couldn't be in the booth, but I can't wait to be back there and have this dynamic duo back out there and covering some more action, and hopefully we can add on to that list of finishes that started off our night. So to end off our night, Kenneth, after we end off here, we're going to be going up north a little bit, up in North Dade, and we're going to be bringing Jaden Porter down with us to celebrate tonight.
We'll try and introduce him to La Carreta, that's for sure.
Of course.
Sure. He didn't know what it was, but we're introducing him to it.
He'll know now.
He'll be introduced to it. The celebrations continue for Jaden Porter on his first ever 4 Wide Racing Cup Series championship. A big congratulations to him in his first full-time season, and a big props to what he's been able to do all season, and props to all the Championship 5 drivers that made it. Lawson Peel, Craig Loudenslager, Kyle Benson, Brandon Banks. All of the respect in the world for the show that they've been able to put on this entire season, and the championship runs, all the storylines they brought us, and just for being outstanding racers on and off the track. So we certainly appreciate not only Porter on his run of the championship this year, but for all those that made it this far, and even all those that made it to the playoffs this year and ran races here in the 4 Wide Racing Cup Series. We certainly appreciate you 150%. When I started this series back in 2021, I wasn't sure where I was going to go in my broadcasting career. I started elevating. I moved to Podium Esports for the first time. I was really nervous, I'm going to be honest with you. And when I picked this up on behalf of MaxSpeedTV, I wasn't sure what to expect. But as soon as I got to know Tyler Murray, as soon as I got to know all the admins, as soon as I got to watch the racing and get to know all the drivers off the track on Discord channels late in the night after Wednesday races, I knew that this was a series I wanted to stick to, and over the past 2.5 years, the relationship between ourselves at MaxSpeedTV and the admins and all the people at 4 Wide Racing has grown exponentially, and I cannot tell you just how blessed I am to be able to cover this series and to be able to continue a partnership like this. It's always good to continue elevating in the sim racing ranks, but if you always end up in a situation where you forget your roots and you don't know where you came from, then where are you really? And I try to make sure that I stay in a series like this where the community is so strong, the drivers are so wholesome, so amazing to be a part of in the series, and to watch outstanding racing as this series gets more competitive each and every year. So from the bottom of my heart, as I stumble there a little bit on this little monologue, I want to say thank you so much to Tyler, all the admins of the series that makes this series go round, all the drivers that put laps and laps and laps, hundreds, thousands of them out on track to give us their best on Wednesday nights. For all of you who have watched here on MaxSpeedTV, whether you tuned in for one race, whether you've tuned in for all of them, whether you were here to root on a favorite driver, or you were just scrolling through MaxSpeedTV and found our broadcast playing live on YouTube, we certainly appreciate all the support, all the kind words, and just know that none of it goes unnoticed. So we certainly appreciate it. And from the bottom of my heart, again, thank you so much for witnessing Season 5 of the 4 Wide Racing Cup Series and having us join along you for the ride. Francisco, thank you so much for being such an outstanding co-partner in the booth, for being a part of outstanding moments with me and making sure that I was not alone in the booth. And again, thank you so much for watching our coverage of the 4 Wide Racing Cup Series from Homestead-Miami. I'm going to hibernate for the next month and a half, 2 months, until we get back to action September 6, 2023. You will not want to miss a thing. We'll kick off Season 6 of the 4 Wide Racing Cup Series with the Xfinity cars. But for now, Jaden Porter is your 2023 Season 5 4 Wide Racing Cup Series Championship. On behalf of everyone at 4 Wide Racing and from us at MaxSpeedTV and for my colleague in the booth, Francisco Bacallao, my name is Kenneth Bueno, saying so long from Homestead, Florida. We'll see you at Auto Club Speedway in a couple of months' time.